Welcome back. We continue with a special broadcast coming to you live from Studio 2 here at the headquarters of the National Broadcasting Corporation, of course, the NBC. We know, of course, right now the body of the founding father is en route to Ondangwa Andimba, Twevo International Airport in the north, where, of course, he's expected by many Namibians to be received there and then proceed through to Etunda village as well. But we will be bringing you that live throughout, so please do make sure to stay with us on our digital news platforms as well. For those of you that are moving around, don't forget to share some of your thoughts and comments on our social media platforms as well. And of course, send your condolences there in recognition with the rest of the nation. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, because we are celebrating different aspects of what made President Nujoma such an icon in the continent and globally as well. One of those aspects, of course, for him was the knack for education. Dr. Sam Nujoma received an honorary degree from the University of Namibia in 1993. Now, this honorary degree was given to him in recognition of his contribution to education, research, and national development. To share more on this degree is Vice Chancellor of the University of Namibia, Professor Kenneth Matengu, joining me in studio. Prof, very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for making time.
Good afternoon, Ricardo, and good afternoon to the viewers.
Well, of course, we're talking for the first time, I think, since the passing of the president. It's only fair that I ask, where were you when this news broke, and how did it reach to you? What was some of your initial response or reaction to that news?
I was here, but out of town. And it was, of course, given his age, it was kind of expected, but still very shocking and very sad, given that we still benefited a lot from him, even at his age. So it was very saddening to hear.
In terms of the legend of the president has preceded him so much, and everybody I've been speaking to have been talking about how they first heard about him before they had actually had any engagements with him. What are some of your earliest memories around hearing about this figure, Sam Nujoma, or actually even meeting him for the first time?
We used to hear about him a lot prior to independence, but the first time I actually saw him was 1989, when he first came to speak at the first rally of SWAPO in Katima Mlilo. That was 89. We were teenagers at that time, so it was very inspiring to see him. After that, I didn't get to see him. I didn't have TV in my home, so we couldn't see anything. We would just hear him speak on radio. But then I met him when I was graduating in 2000 at the University of Namibia. It was actually the first time I shook his hand.
That time he was chancellor.
He was chancellor already, and that time we had the privilege that whether you were doing a certificate or a diploma, a degree, you would still shake the hand of the chancellor. Of course, now the rules are different. That doesn't happen anymore. But so it was.
Perhaps maybe you bring the rule back since you are VC. Nonetheless, just to reflect a little bit on this, of course, we've heard so much around how the president was really passionate about education. In fact, if you look at the liberation struggle, establishment of the United Nations Institute for Namibia, for example, to prepare civil servants for an independent Namibia. Just talk to me a little bit about that reflection and how important that was in the pursuit for having an independent Namibia, and in fact getting ready to prepare that government that will be able to take over and lead once independence came. Just reflect a little bit on that for us.
No, thank you. I think everyone who has spent some time with President Nujoma knew that he believed in two things. One is liberation and independence of this country. But he also understood that in order to be self-sustaining and self-reliant, you have got to have skills, and the only way to do that is education. And so he had a view that for Namibia to be independent and to be able to lead itself, there had to be two wars to be fought. One was, of course, the military approach to attack and put pressure on the apartheid regime. But he also wanted to make sure that we prepare at the same time for the liberation of the country. And so many people were sent, even though after military training, they would be sent for school. And he persuaded that. He wanted everyone to make sure that they understand the importance of education. And that is why the idea of having SWAPO camps where schools were in KwaZulu and others where the schools were. But of course, we know education has to be progressive. And so he ensured that because SWAPO couldn't afford to send everybody abroad, dependent on donors and goodwill from many different countries. So he set up this with the support of the United Nations, the Namibia Institute, United Nations Institute for Namibia, which was led by the late President, Dr. Hage Geingob.
You know, when we're talking about purpose, you know, unity in purpose, it really shines through in terms of how the whole movement was moving before independence. Just that elevated conviction that, look, we are going to get independent one day. And already, in fact, about 14 years or so before we reach our independence, the preparation for that starts. Reflect a little bit on the importance of that unity and purpose and being able to move at that level of conviction for something so serious like liberating a country.
Yes, and I think for one to be able to do that, you have got to understand your own purpose and the conviction that when you are born, you are not as a result of some activity. You are actually called to do something, and you have got to understand and have that internal drive to do it yourself. And for him, one of the things I would say, he believed that anger is a gift from God, and this might surprise many people. But if whether you take him or you take Mandela, it was because of the fact that they understood, for me to be able to do something deep must be there. But how you apply that anger, of course, is a different thing. But you have got to have that deeper conviction that I'm going to be the change that needs to happen. I'm not going to blame this on others, but I will make sure I take lead and do that. And that is why you see the kind of deployment and the people that he put in place to make sure that there's delivery and service to the Namibian nation.
But we know, of course, he didn't really pursue tertiary education immediately after school as well, obviously, getting thrusted into the liberation struggle there as well. But despite you not having your own education, having that ability to believe in it and make sure that all your other cadres, all the young people that are following behind you, actually get educated, lobbying for funding for that education to take place. What does this tell us about the character of the man, and I think just the importance of education within the livelihood of any sort of movement?
Yeah, so education has two levels. One is the philosophy, the reason why. And that level of education, he understood well. Education is there for a purpose. It has to lead to self-sustenance, international competitiveness, 100%, and welfare of citizens. So you have got to understand that before you come to the level of curriculum must speak to the philosophy, why you are training and teaching in the way you do. Then you come to the level of skills, because that comes through the curriculum. So from a study of him, you can see clearly that he understood that these two levels of you can't just have curriculum without a reason why. Yeah. And you can't teach. We can't be teaching our learners how many rivers are in Europe or what are the capital cities of the world.
While we are busy with
yes, we can't do that. We can't do that, yeah. So he understood very well that this needed to be set up for the different fields. And that's why you saw that even when the government was structured, it had alignment to faculties in the universities. Yeah, you see agriculture, we have a faculty for that. You have engineering, we have works. Nursing, we have public health and nursing fields, medicine, pharmacy, and so on. Every ministerial portfolio has its equivalence in the university, and that is the alignment that is, I think, he had conviction with. Yes.
In terms of, I mean, that's obviously. You can't separate the history of the University of Namibia from the man himself as well. But I wanted us to quickly jump into the conferment of the honorary degree in 1993. Comes back, government gets established in 1990 with the support, of course, of Dr. Hage Geingob as the Prime Minister in charge of official government business. And then 1993, there's a recognition of the work that has been done. But for the layman on the street, perhaps I think a good point of departure would be to just understand what exactly the meaning of an honorary degree is and why some people get recognized without having sat behind the desk.
So let me put it this way. First, before the university was established, There was a 1985 work that was commissioned by the late comrade President Hagegengop. It was led by a gentleman called Colin Lewis, who did this study. It was funded by Ford Foundation. That led to a more or less a structuring of what the system must be in Namibia. And
so this happens already
prior
4 or 5 years before independence?
Yes, prior to independence. So you can see the vision that the president had. And so in 1991, on the 8th of February, he commissioned a study that would make recommendations on how the Namibian higher education system must look like.
True.
That it is well known as the Tenor Commission, the Tenor Report. John Tenor was British. And there were several other Namibians who were working with him to put that. Then that report established the structures and recommended the establishment of the University of Namibia, the Polytechnic, National Council for Higher Education, National Qualifications Authority, the National Training Authority, the NAMCOL today.
Also, it wasn't just specific
things
to the University of Namibia, it was
the
literally
system, the higher education system.
The tertiary education system.
Yes, yes. Because he understood an institution cannot function without a system and processes and regulations. So all these were already recommended in that Tenor Commission. And the Tenor Commission also indicated, given the understanding that the Namibian education was Bantu-led, it was separatist in many senses, and there was not really any university. So there was that transition period on what must happen and what should be done to make sure that Namibians get to the level that is required to attain university. So even this issue that we have been arguing over of AS and so on, in the report, they are already that plan was in place.
So when we're looking at okay, but quickly finish that before I come in.
Yeah. So when the university was then established they gave him the report in '92 in August, and that then led to the formal transition of the academy into the University of Namibia. The first headquarters of the University of Namibia was at the current NAST in town. The university then moved only in '94 to the current campus, and that current campus was a teachers' college for white students. It was built for 350 white students. Of course, now it has 14,000 students, so it is massive expansion, so to speak. But these transitions were under his vision, and he knew that he needed to make sure that whoever leads the university must be someone who understands higher education, and that's why Prof. Kashavivi was removed from Parliament to become the Vice Chancellor. And then before I get to the honorary.
Yeah, to the honorary. I think you brought in quite an interesting angle, which I want to latch on just a little bit before we come to the honorary, because we have the time.
Yes.
The question around access was also quite a big one. As you say, the education, resources and infrastructure that was in place already, like you said, for the University of Namibia, for example, Teachers College, only accommodating 350.
Yes.
Obviously, the old Polytechnic grounds, also for large, much smaller group, the former white population only. Talk to us a little bit around the thinking and perhaps also what was reflected in the report around access to education and making it also equitable for everybody to be able to go to tertiary institutions.
Yeah, those of you who follow history would know that Comrade Nahasangula spoke, and it was his drive, education for all. But education for all had attributes: quality, equity, access, and equality. And I would emphasize access, I think, means many things. Access means availability, it means affordability, it means acceptability, and it also means what I would call entanglement, which means you have to embed your system in the system. Yeah. So access issue was important, not because we needed every Namibian to enter education only, but we needed to make sure that those who enter enter so equitably, and those who don't have the means to do so are supported, and those who have maybe who need support to enter it are given a bridge system. That is why NAMCOL came in. That is why you have Higgs and Higgs to have different streams.
So it's
and that's why
just
today,
a recognition of the disparity, the different level of disparity that was felt during for independence. Yeah.
And that is why you would find that there was Higgs and Higgs. That's why in the university today, there are different streams of entering university. You can enter on the basis of your AS, or on the basis of mature entry, or on the basis of prior recognition of learning. So all these are responsive to the question of access. But equity is different from equality. Yeah, and the difference is when you are talking only equality, you mean balancing act, men and women, or different regions or ethnicities. But when you are talking of equity, you are meaning that everybody must have the same kind of opportunity, not on the basis of their gender, but that the system must rise to make sure that it accommodates, and that when education is provided, it's done so in a manner that is uniform to everybody. And maybe we haven't achieved that, because if you see the performances of the different regions, there is a question of equity there that we must address.
There's a question of equity that we need to address.
Yes.
Coming now to the issue around the honorary doctorate, of course, recognition that was provided to Dr. Nujoma in 1993. I asked a little bit earlier on, just for the layman on the street, for you to put in perspective how an honorary degree comes into play.
So, for the benefit of our listeners, the University of Namibia was not the first to honor him with a doctorate. He got his first honorary doctorate from Ahmad Bello University in Zaire in Nigeria. It was a doctorate in education. Then he got another one from the Federal University of Nigeria, honorary doctorate in technology. He got another one from Lincoln University in the US, doctors of law. But what does this mean? An honorary degree is coming from Latin word honoris causa. It means for the sake of honor. And in modern university, the first honorary degree that was issued was in 1478.
So it's a practice that is
that has been there for a very long time. And this first recipient was became the Bishop of Salisbury in the UK, and of course after that there are many others. So it's a degree in which the university waives all its requirements for entering into one. It's not an academic qualification. It's not a qualification, it's a degree. Yeah. And as a result of that, in terms of the tradition, you should use that title only when you are performing a function in that institution.
Also, it's not on the institutional grounds. I think I want to quickly cross over before we continue that, because we see a lot of recipients, of course, using the doctor title afterwards as well. Perhaps also the opportunity to clear this up. Yeah. But for now, as I mentioned a bit earlier on, we continue, of course, to follow the procession, which is on the way to Ondangwa, Andimba, Twevo, ya Twevo. We now cross over to reporter Richard Auses, who is at Ongwediva, where people wait to pay their respects to the founding president. Over to you, Richo.
We are in Ongwediva. We are just outside the Hifikepunye Pohamba UNAM campus, and I am joined by one of the teachers of the International Primary School here in Ongwediva, because as we earlier had probably shown visuals, there are students from the University of Namibia, students from primary school, and also the residents of Ongwediva lined up waiting for the procession to pay their last respects. Now, Mr. Iyambo, thank you for joining me. Can you just tell us what significance did our late founding president have in the education sector?
Founding President Sam Nujoma has done a lot to the Namibian people, especially in the education sectors. we can see that there are many schools built during the time of his reign as a president. He have built many roads. He has built many clinics. So there are so many that he did. We can also think of the railway that has been coming to this part of the northern part, which has never been here before independence. So just to mention but a few, we really appreciate that we have been given such a very dedicated and committed president. He was a gift to all of us Namibian people. So although we are mourning, at the same time we really appreciate and express our thankfulness to God, our Almighty, for having praised him in our midst. So he was a unifier, a man who dedicated his whole life to the freedom of the liberation of our country. We really thank him for that. And as we are standing here now waiting for the remain of him to pass, so we really thank God and we wish him a peaceful rest.
How many schools are here as far as you are concerned? I can see that obviously your school is here, but there are also other primary schools that I can pick up. How many other primary schools are here to pay their last respect?
Yeah, I think there are more than 5 schools here. I can see the neighboring schools like Shapka, Gordon Maggie, Crane Coupe, and Hashiana School. So there are many schools and the public at large. So the reason why they are here, they have come really to pay their respect.
Earlier on, when I spoke to you, you were alluding to the fact that Dr. Nujoma also went to school after he stepped down as president. Can you just take us back to that moment?
Yeah, I remember very well after founding President Sam Nujoma stepped down as the head of state, he went to pursue a degree in geology at the University of Namibia. And the main idea was just to motivate the young people to study so that they can gain more experience so that we can develop our country. I can remember he used to say, the country can only be developed if we have got educated people. We cannot rely on foreign people who will come and explore on our behalf. So he wanted to make sure that Namibia has got people who can have who can do things on their own rather than relying on foreigners. So this was his ambition, and I hope we are going to continue. So we will make sure that his dream will become a true. We are going to treasure all this legacy that he has been trying to impose on the Namibian people. He was always encouraging children to go to school because he considered that education was the key.
Thank you so much, Mr. Iyambo.
Thank you.
Yes, that was Mr. Iyambo just talking to us, and he is from the International Primary School here in Ongwediva. I am also joined by Mr. Kauna. He is a lecturer at the University of Namibia here at the Hage Up, Efikepunya Pohamba campus. Thank you so much for joining us. You are reminiscing about some of the memories that you have with the founding president. Can you take us back there?
Yeah, basically I was alluding to the fact that the former president, the father of the nation, also attended university. He did a master's in geology, and that is also showing his commitment to education in that instance. And then he also, as a president, was also the chancellor of the University of Namibia, and then deputized by Professor Kashavivi as a vice chancellor of the University of Namibia in my time.
Are there any personal memories that you have of the founding president?
Yeah, in April 1994 is the year that I graduated to obtain my Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Namibia. And as a chancellor, he was the one who put the hood on my head that time. And that was quite a significant achievement. And then from there, hands on, I also became a science teacher, started at Cosmos High School. And around about 2002 in June, I came and studied here it was still called the Windhoek College of Education that time. So I started here the first week of June, teaching science here at the college. And from then, when we articulated to the University of Namibia, the colleges articulated to the University of Namibia in 2011, the 1st of January, I also became a science teacher now, a lecturer of the science subject.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks.
And there you have it. The residents of Ongwediva are waiting and they are lined up. These are not only primary school learners, but also students from the University of Namibia's Hifikepunye Pohamba campus. But residents are also here. One can see that there is also police presence and they are currently trying to clear the road so we can get ready for the remains of His Excellency Dr. Nujoma, as the procession will make its way at the main road as soon as it has. They have landed at the Andimba Toivo Airport. Let me head back to the studio where Ricardo can give us more updates.
Richeling Unses there talking to us from Ongwediva, where she's at the campus, of course, of the University of Namibia, where many Namibians are waiting to pay their respects to the founding president, whose remains are currently en route to the Ondangwa Airport, or in fact the Andimba Toivo International Airport there in the northern part of the country. Talking about University of Namibia, of course, we're still continuing. We're joined by the Vice-Chancellor of the University, Professor Kenneth Matengu, just to give us some insights with regards to the passion that the President had for education, him receiving his honorary degree from the university in 1993, and of course later on after presidency pursuing education for himself by studying geology, even though he had finished his tenure in office as president. Prof, you're, of course, hearing the excitement from the side in Ongwediva. Namibians, of course, waiting to receive and pay respects to their founding father as well. Before we went for the break and, of course, crossed over to Richeline, we were speaking about him receiving the honors degree. Yeah. And you were just mentioning to us what are some of the tenets that are associated with this honors degree and how we are supposed to use it once it has been received.
Yes. Yes, so as I said, honoris causa means for the sake of honor. So there must be something worthy that you have done to be honored that way. Honorary degrees can also be given at master's level. It doesn't have to be at PhD. At PhD. They can be given.
So it's usually just master's and PhD,
and
but
PhD
not at bachelor's level. Only those two.
Never bachelor's. Okay. Yeah. So officially the installation of the Chancellor and the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Namibia, that took place on the 23rd of April 1993. The following day was the first graduation of the University of Namibia, and that is where Comrade President, the late, was given his honorary. The person who did the citation was the late Professor Awala, Ray Awala. May his soul rest in peace. And that was at 9 o'clock at the Windhoek showground. That time, of course, the institution didn't have the facility big enough to accommodate that number. But that's what happened. He got his honorary degree. And if you read the citation, you would see the merits as to why he was honored in that way and why in education. And the reason was quite simple. He dedicated his life to motivating and with passion all the young people that were in exile to make sure they attend school. And of course, on independence, he made sure that there was a bursary scheme. There was no loans that time. There was people like me went to university because of the bursaries that were, of course, free, so to speak.
In terms of the honors, I think that there's also quite a bit of a misconception. I think 2 or 3 things. One of them is, when can I use, particularly if I have received a doctorate, when exactly can I use the title? And does the honorary degree count towards, is it something I can put on my curriculum vitae, for lack of a better
So there's a process, and this might sound a bit controversial, but it's okay. We just want to clarify by putting facts.
Yeah.
There's a process for that. We, as a university, we nominate. We call on you to be honored. You don't self-nominate. Yeah. So this process, in terms of policy, it starts with a nominee, someone making a motivation to the department. The department
and this nomination, must it be from a staff or from the university, or can it be somebody from outside?
It can be from someone outside, but it must go through departmental level. Once the university is convinced through this process, department, faculty, Then we have the Honorary Degrees Committee, we have the Executive Committee of Council, and then Senate. And then that must be done in consultation with the Chancellor, and only then, when the proper research is done that gives the merit for this honor, that's when it is done. When can you use it? It should normally be associated to the activities of that institution that has honored you. That is why on your CV, you can't put it as a qualification, but you can put it on the side of awards and honors.
Of awards and honors.
On the CV.
And that's perhaps, of course, you also mentioned there between brackets, it's honoris causa, so that whoever is reading it is aware of, of what the nature of
Yes, from institution, and the citations normally are available as to why this honor is very, very important, and it's significant, and it can't be taken lightly, but it is always associated with having done something special which you are honored for. And these tend to be in fields. So you'll get it in education, in law, in literature, in different areas. It's not general.
So it has to be specific.
It has to be specific to a field in which you have demonstrated that acumen for which you are being honored for.
In terms of this as well, I think when you were saying worthy, it's a very, I don't want to say, it's a very subjective sort of word to use in this. Okay, now we recognize something because they're worthy of doing this or that. What would that entail, though? Is it the amount of years I've spent maybe in a particular field? Is it because I've made some sort of breakthrough? What would be some of the considerations there?
It may be community work that you do for the good of the people. It may be your commitment and what you do in a certain field. Maybe you are helping. For example, if you some people who have been mobilizing a lot of resources for the disabled, for those who need orthopedic support, they've been honored in different kind of way. We have honored different kinds of people for the political role they have done. We have honored different kinds of people for leadership, but also for the unique administrative service that the due diligence that you do through the processes, developing systems. So it can't be really subjective. There has to be evidence to show that you are really worth the honor. And everybody that we have honored so far have been worth it.
I've been worth it. And of course, you've got those different levels that you have to go through, from the department level down to faculty, the committee, down to Senate, and of course also input also from the Chancellor as well.
Yeah, and then there are some that get rejected. This is true.
Oh, so there are also rejections on nomination.
If there is no merit, if there is no merit, we can't. This is the integrity of the institution has to be protected.
100%.
We can't honor someone who is a dictator or has done something else that is not worthy of honor.
Can you retract the ones after it has been one has been honored, and particularly like you said, the dictator is a very, very good example. You've been honored with that, then you turn into a dictator. Can that honorary degree still be retracted?
It's very normal in academia for qualifications and honors to be withdrawn. Yes, they can be.
That can happen.
Yes.
Professor, we know, of course, you cannot really speak about the University of Namibia, like you mentioned a bit earlier on with the Tanner report being already commissioned in 1985 and the establishment of the university after independence. You can't really separate the two as well. And I wanted us to really just reflect a little bit on the history of the university within the context of the vision that the founding father had for it. You had mentioned, of course, it started off as a small college meant only for about 350 white students at the current location where it is. Speak to us a little bit around the establishment of the university and what were some of the main faculties and the features of the university before it expanded to what it is today.
So first, and by the way, I might just detract a little bit just to say also messages of condolences came from Pan-African University Council, which I chair. The Association of African Universities, there are more than 500, so all the vice-chancellors and the Commonwealth Association of Universities also passed their condolences to the family. But I'm saying that to mean that the establishment of the University of Namibia was also a child of international support. When the university was established, we had 97% of academics were expatriates, which means there was a strong emphasis to develop our own people. And as we are speaking today, we have only 13% of our academics are expatriates. And except one, all of them in administration are Namibians. So that emphasis already then to say the university needed to develop, but it needed to develop by copying and learning best practices from elsewhere. And so he made sure, as Chancellor, the university that need also expands, keeping in mind that access issue we discussed. So already in '98, we established a campus in Oshakati. It was originally called Oshakati Language Center, because the challenge then was that we had.
So there's still a question of access at that time.
Access, yes.
Of course, the importance of adult literacy and languages.
What do you do when you have people who come with mathematics, A and B in physics and so on, but in English they are not. So the idea was to make sure that we have an outreach program to support. And of course, this developed. Today we have 12 campuses across. Is to take education to the people. That was his philosophy. Take education to the people rather than education coming to, people coming to education. You take it to them. And so today we have Ogongo campus, we have Oshakati campus over Hifikepunye Pohamba, we have Jose Eduardo dos Santos, we have Rundu, Katima Mlilo, and Southern Campus in Kitmanswap. And all these were also developed in such a way that we are ensuring that the programs we offer lead to the sustainability of this country and, of course, self-reliance. Yeah.
Well, there we're seeing, of course, just the arrival of the remains of the founding president. I think just to get some clarity. All right, so it seems there first the arrival of the presidents, the current and the former president. Of course, we know that they are going to be moving a little bit faster with the Falcon compared to the military aircraft that's carrying the remains of the founding father. And then just some visuals, of course, from the Andimba Twevo International Airport in Ondangwa. Former President Pohamba, current President Nangolo Mbumba, of course, expected to come out of the plane any second now. As you see, of course, one of the benefits that we've had really as a country up until last year was that unity, seeing the succession from one president to the next. We've had 3 democratically elected presidents, of course, since independence, starting off with the founding father in the 1990. In fact, many argued, and that was the basis of the amendment of the Constitution to allow a 3rd term of serving for the founding father, that initially he was not actually directly voted in by Namibians in 1989. It was actually the Constituent Assembly that chose the president. The Constituent Assembly was what was made up of the outcome of the elections in 1989, where Namibians had chosen, of course, their representatives in parliament. That composed of quite a number of different political parties, some of them which do not exist now anymore. Some of them, of course, have transformed, the likes of DTA now to PDM. Many of them, like MAH, do not exist, are not part of the current dispensation in parliament anymore, but really just showing, the transformation and the road that the country had taken from an executive leadership perspective there. Former President Hifikepunye Pohamba, who took over from the founding father in 2005. They, of course, getting into the car. We know that the president will be the one to follow next, according to protocol. But really, Namibia as a country being blessed to have that succession and of leadership, of peaceful transition on 4 occasions. And as we know, in 1989, like I was mentioning a little bit earlier on, the founding father being chosen by the Constituent Assembly. Constituent Assembly, of course, the same group of people that also were responsible for drafting the Namibian Constitution, with a smaller committee of about 21, which was chaired by the late President Dr. Hage Geingob, that drafted the Constitution and then subsequently, of course, elected President Sam Nujoma to be the first head of state in 1990. And then we saw in 1999, the amendment of the Constitution allowing for a third term to be served by the president. One of the arguments, of course, advanced by Parliament during that time was that he was not directly elected by Namibians in 1989 and therefore qualified on technical grounds and legally as well, provided, of course, that Parliament sanctioned it for him to serve a third term, which in fact indeed happened with the amendment of the Constitution in 1999-2000, allowing for those elections to take place and for him to stand and being voted back into power again. And then we know, of course, in 2004, round of elections, President Hifikepunye Pohamba, who just got onto his vehicle and is leaving the airport, being voted in as the second president of the Republic of Namibia. Peaceful transition in that case as well. There we see former Prime Minister Zangula, current Minister of Labour, and of course also the son of the founding father, Honorable Utoni Nujoma, present there as well. We also saw one of the former members of Parliament, former cabinet member, Alpheus Narusep, also present there at the airport. On your screen on the immediate left, you're seeing there that's Anastasia Mbili, who is, of course, the granddaughter of the founding father, Anastasia Mbili there, of course, the daughter of David Mbili, who's the son-in-law of the founding father. As we know that they have really been closely involved, the grandchildren, we've seen their presence at all the memorial services, and now they're, of course, making sure that the proceedings of the funeral gathering and the wishes of the family, of course, are also being recognized. As you know, Prof, when there's a funeral of this level, when the state is in charge of the funeral, really, family not getting that much maneuvering room, as the state really is in charge of making sure that they represent the interest of the nation. And it should be, I understand, quite difficult for, as a family to give that sort of leverage to the state to do their thing.
No, we thank the family for sharing him with us and for the flexibility. But of course, when this happens, the state takes over, and that's what it is. So. And
for many respects, when this kind of things happen, I think we tend to also forget the sacrifice that a family makes to share their father, their grandfather, their husband, yes, when he takes on this public service and his national duty by becoming, whether it's a minister or even the President of the Republic.
Yes, it is a major sacrifice. It takes a lot of time, and nowadays, actually, it's a question that is a subject of research, work-life balance, and it's not easy when you have in that situation. So we truly appreciate that the family has been able to do that. President Nujoma, from his side, he was very involved. Even those who served as a student representative council in the 90s know that he met almost every student representative council. He was very involved. He wanted to make sure the vision is very clear to everyone, and I'm quite sure he persuaded many of the international supporters that the university got to be what it is today.
Just a reminder, of course, for those of you that are joining us, we're coming to you live from Studio 2 here at the headquarters of the Namibia Broadcasting Corporation, celebrating the life and times of the founding father. Today, quite a significant day as his, for lack of a better word, national tour starts, where we, of course, allowing all Namibians really across the country to have a chance with him and to pay their last respects to this icon of democracy. I'm joined in the studio by of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Namibia, Professor Matengo, just to reflect a little bit on his life in academia and how important education was for him and for the Namibian nation as well. Before we crossed over and saw some of those visuals, Prof, we were talking a little bit about around the history of the university as well. And you mentioned, the importance of that international solidarity and support. We know some of the faculties were, of course, set up by expatriates, academics that came from other countries. And I'm just taking off from the top of the head. I know, like, for example, the Faculty of Law and the Legal Clinic, the likes of Professor S.K. Amu, that were really responsible for, coming in, imparting that knowledge and actually setting up that faculty. Reflect a little bit on that aspect of the establishment of the university and that support.
So if you look at the attendees of that first graduation ceremony and the installation, 93, 23 and 24 April, you will see a lot of vice-chancellors came from within Africa, from Europe, from the United States. But there was President Mugabe was also there, and he spoke at that graduation. And it is no surprise then that the founding dean of the Faculty of Law came from Zimbabwe, late Prof. Kimba. Prof. Kimba, yes, was the founding. And alongside that, quite soon, with the legislation of the law education, came also the Justice Training Center. So once you finish your qualification, you must pass through JTC for you to qualify as a practice. All these were things that were taken as a best practice from elsewhere. And so President Nujoma was very involved in the setup of all this, with, of course, support from Prof. Kashavili as Vice Chancellor. So we see his understanding of what was needed to set up a system. Although he saw the university as very crucial, and I'll say a little bit why I'm saying that later, but he wanted a system that would function. He didn't ignore basic education, although he was functioning as a chancellor, but he wanted a system that fits. He understood universities can't survive with what it gets from basic education is not what it needs to plow back. Otherwise, you create a cycle that is problematic.
And quite interested in, I think, what I also find absolutely magnificent, and I think from a vision perspective, is that you were coming out of a liberation struggle, so your priorities for education are completely different from an independent country where you now have to, you're saying, okay, listen, we are not, many people think that, it was a social democratic movement, SWAPO, and they thought, because of the support from Cuba, Russia, that we're going to take communism, for example, in terms of our economic policy. The president comes and says, look, we're going to have a mixed economy, so we need to make provision, of course, for capitalist businesses to also thrive. That brings on unique challenges for a nation from an education perspective. But just to reflect a little bit on that vision and on that transition that Don wants to take, I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and I think that is what is unique about him, because he, besides being a leader and a pan-Africanist, he also was very clear that it is us Africans who have to take charge. And for political and colonial reasons, there were attitudes and mindsets about certain subjects and certain fields of study. Africans were just supposed to do theology, music, and these kind of things. And he wanted to demonstrate that we can go beyond that. That is why he enrolled for geology, because he wanted to show that STEM subjects are engines or a mechanism through which we can use to develop our countries. And if we leave these professions outside our emphasis, then we are disadvantaging ourselves. And as you know, there was resistance to come up with these programs, medicine, engineering, and many others. And he got actively involved to make sure it happens. And
now we're seeing, of course, some of the latest faculties that were added to university as well, establishment of the campus in the south, recognizing most of the mining happens in that region, the establishment of the School of Medicine as well. Professor, moving towards the conclusion, can we say that we are getting close to, or have achieved at least partly, the vision that the founding father had for our tertiary education sector in the country?
If you read Vision 2030, I think from page 76 to 878 there, you see it says very clearly that Namibia shall be transformed through its education system. And with what is happening now, I can say there is very little, if any, professions in which we are not producing our own. So in my mind, we are on the right path for that. We need to emphasize it. We need to put more resources in higher education, in research and innovation to fully achieve his vision. But we are there. In fisheries, at the Nujoma campus, he was very keen to make sure that we have a sustainable wage which we can produce our own water. This is why the University of Namibia has a desalination plant there. And when I thought that when we achieve it, he would be satisfied. But once we put it, he said, no, but this water needs to be taken out. So we started bottling it. After that, he started to ask, when is this water coming to Windhoek? And I remember myself and late Prof. Kavisha explaining the challenges and the engineering hurdles we have to overcome. He says, once this is done, take it to Botswana. So he was very pan-Africanist. And he used to call. He was calling. He only stopped calling in late 2023. Otherwise, he would call he had a passion for UNAM. How is UNAM doing? How can I help?
Where can we, what can we expand? What can we make better?
Yes.
Prof, in conclusion, from your side, how best can we continue his legacy and perhaps continue honoring him within the context of the academia and education?
I think it's three things, and this is especially for the young people. First, no self-entitlement. Realize the purpose and that your purpose is there to serve others. Secondly, you have to identify something in life for which you are prepared to die for. And that must be in the interest of others. And thirdly, I think it is to take education very seriously, but to take education as a tool for empowerment and in service of others. It is not for title purposes to say I'm a professor, I'm a doctor, I'm whatever. And what's the meaning of that which you have? It has to have meaning wherever you find yourself. And I think if we do that, all of us, we would honor him. His legacy was that of service to others with passion, with all the energy and dedication. I believe this is what the university will do, and we will continue to cherish his memory and honor him.
Prof, thank you so much for making time out to join me. I'm pretty sure that we're going to chat with you a little bit, probably as we move closer and closer to laying him to rest.
Thank you so much.
Well, there we have it. That's, of course, our Professor Matengo just joining us and giving us a little bit of reflecting a lot on the life and times of the president within academia and, of course, the education sector and the work that has been done, particularly for the tertiary education sector there as well. Well, that brings us to about 5 minutes before the news headlines at 1. We're going to go for a short break. When we come back, we'll say bye-bye. Stay with us. These are, of course, live visuals from the Andimba Twevo Airport. As you can see, of course, the mourners gathered at the airport to receive the remains of the founding father, former head of state. There in the screen that you can see was President Pohamba. We saw a little bit earlier on, of course, that he was, when he landed on the Falcon and moved over to this side of the airport to be able to receive the remains of the founding father. As you're aware, a funeral of this level, the hero's funeral is completely being handled by the state. He is, of course, also the former Commander-in-Chief of the Namibia Defense Force, the military, the Namibian Defense Force, completely in charge of the logistics and the movement of the remains. He being brought there by military aircraft. That's in fact a goods carrier that's bringing him to the airport. A few minutes ago, we of course crossed over also to Ngwediva, where we saw that part of the procession will be passing through the University of Namibia, where they are of course also expecting him to pass by. The main memorial service expected to take place at around 2:30 this afternoon, provided that the procession moves fast enough to arrive there before 2:30. And there you can see, of course, the mourners in waiting. Some of the people that you're seeing there on the screen, including the Commissioner of the Namibia Revenue Agency, very, very familiar with the arrangements and the protocol there. He was also a former security officer within the Namibia Police Force. And we'll be joined very, very soon by Colonel Peter Shilumbu, the head of public relations at the Namibian Defense Force, is also here with me and will be providing commentary throughout the procession as well. Colonel, welcome back.
Thank you, Ricardo, and good afternoon to you.
So, Colonel, if you can quickly just take us through, we know, of course, that the Defense Force is in charge of the logistics and the movements of the remains. The plane has landed now. What is it that we can expect in terms of how that will be handled from a military protocol perspective?
Since we are a little bit behind with time, upon the arrival of the casket at the airport, it will be received by the quarter guard, a silent quarter guard, and then immediately after that, the procession is going to kick off to Etunda. Yes, that will be a very short activity that is going to take place at the airport. As you can see, these are some of the retired and current serving generals of the Namibian Defense Force who also came and made their ways to Ondangwa Airport. Yes.
So as part of this, as part of the protocol, we're saying that there's different service chiefs from the whether it's the Defense Force or also the Namibian police that are present there as well. These are requirements as part of the movement of a funeral of this level?
Well, if you have served under your Commander-in-Chief, your very first Commander-in-Chief and the founding father of the Namibian nation, who are you to be absent of paying your last respect? Mm-hmm. So the retired members of the Defense Force, some of them who are willing to go with their uniform on retirement, they go for their uniform, they go with their uniform. For cases such as a ceremony of this nature, when it comes, you put on your uniform as a retired member of the Defense Force, and then you pay your last respect to your colleague or to your commander or your senior. And this is what we are observing now. But there's a group of some soldiers that you can observe on your screen there. Those are the quarter guard that are there to conduct the silent guard.
For a movement or a procession like this, of course, we know it's quite a big logistical exercise for the force. What security and logistical measures are in place for today's procession and the regional memorials?
The security measure in place is that both NDF, NAMPOL, and other security sectors or security stakeholders have already coordinated what tasks should be carried out by a specific security agency. So as of now, the issue of law and order is being maintained by the Namibian police, while the other security sectors are also there to assist in making sure that this procession is not disturbed by anyone, no interference, and to make sure that the casket reach Etunda on time.
So there we see, of course, some of the visuals coming to you live from the Andimba Twevo Airport. The former President Hifikepunye Pohamba there, as well as former First Lady Pene Khupifo Pohamba, and then the son of the late President Utoni Nujoma, so Honorable Utoni Nujoma, of course, member of Parliament, as well as the current Minister of Labour that are seated there waiting to receive the remains.
You can see there was a general there by the name of Brigadier General Ipinge. He is briefing former President His Excellency Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba of what is going to transpire or what is going to happen as the aircraft just landed, so it have to come to a standstill, and then from there they will collect the casket. First of all is the gun carriage, which was loaded last, so it's the first one to be offloaded, and then the casket will be loaded on the gun carriage, and then from there the procession will commence. As I have indicated earlier in the morning, that the MKKO APC, which is a 4x4 armed personal carrier, it's meant to pull the gun carriage in Commerce region only. Currently, what you can see there on your screen, it's an RG32 APC that is now going to pull the gun carriage. And this is the same vehicle that we have used last year during the funeral of our late President, Dr. Hage Geingob.
The significance of, talk to us a little bit about just the significance, of course, of the different vehicles that are being used there as well. We know that the ones that were in the procession, particularly here in the Commerce region heading to the airport, also had a sort of a white rim around them, which the rest of the APCs in the unit do not have. Talk to us a little bit about it.
This is just a decoration. They were just painted for this occasion. That is not their usual color. And then after the procession has ended, or after we have buried our founding father, they will return to their normal color. So it was just to have a colorful event, and that's why it was painted at this moment. But the vehicles are not different. It's only that we have deployed them out, since we have various memorial services that are going to take place at different regions. So you have to make sure that at least your deployment should not delay you. When the aircraft arrive, you should not wait for the vehicle to arrive. So that's why we have already deployed this vehicle in various regions, specifically for this task.
And in terms of the military honors, what sort of military honors are planned during the mourning process?
During the mourning process, now the military is just tasked to make sure that this casket is taken around to the regions. And then there are specific programs already that has been designed by the regional government and by the regional government officers, plus the Minister of Information and Communication Technology. They have a program that has already been set. So for us is to make sure that the casket is received, is honored by the military at each specific memorial service. It's delivered on time and also been collected on time so that it's been dispatched to the next destination. So, and then you'll have now our military band here and then. They will come in to perform as usual at events of this nature. So you are expecting them to play the AU and national anthem at the beginning of the program and also at the end of the program, and also in between they can be given any chance to perform any song or to deliver an item. Yes.
Well, in terms of these memorials, of course, we know that many times there are also viewings that take place. We know with us here in Windhoek, it would probably come and lay in state for about 2-3 days before the actual funeral takes place the next week, Saturday. Will there be that sort of opportunity for the public to be able to view the remains while it's in the region?
Yes, in all the regions, the casket will remain in a region. For example, today, in Namsati region, the casket will remain in Namsati region. It will lay in state at Tunda. Now, the members of the public who are unable now to turn up now, but they will make time later in the evening or early morning before 6 o'clock, they still have that opportunity to turn up at Tunda and pay their last respect to the founding president.
So it will be laying in state overnight?
Overnight.
At each one of the different regional locations?
Exactly, throughout until it returns back to Commerce. So tomorrow when it goes to Ohangwena, the same process will be followed. It will lay in state until the next morning at 6 o'clock. Every morning, 6 o'clock, it will be collected from the region where it has been conducting the memorial service.
Talk to us a little bit around, what sort of, we know there was the official announcement of the mourning period, already took place on the 9th of February. There were some basic, decorum procedures or rules that were announced that said, look, we're in mourning period. We're not going to have any large-scale public gatherings for public institutions. Private institutions also urged, of course, to suspend any celebratory gatherings, large, groups of gatherings. What is the expected decorum from the public during these viewings while the body will be laying in state in the different regions across the country?
Most members of the public have or are adhering to those protocols that were set and the guidelines that were announced by the government. I have also traveled around during that period, especially last week, to different towns. I was in Katima, I was in Rundu, I was in Kurenkuru. And it is very, very few places that you will find opening, for example, the liquor places or a bar or playing loud music. Very, very few of them. People are adhering to the instruction. And that is one part of I like of our Namibian population. They listen to their leaders when something it's been announced to observe a mourning period. They do that, and like now, having this casket now going around to the region, we are also expecting them to respect that period, and they are doing that. Yes.
Well, so coming to you live, the visuals from the Andimba Twevo Airport in Ondangwa, where the remains of the founding father, of course, have arrived. There is one or two activities that will take place before we actually see the remains being welcomed by the mourners that are there. We know, of course, the gun carriage, the carriage that was carrying the remains will come off first from the carrier, and that will be followed by the remains of the founding president. Colonel, can you talk to us a little bit about, we know, of course, that the founding father was also the commander-in-chief of the People's Liberation Army of Namibia plan, and of course received a lot of many honors. If you can reflect briefly on some of the honors he received before independence, and perhaps those also are conferred unto him after independence.
Before independence, I will not know them, all of them. Yeah, because I was very, very young, although I read the history. But he is a man who is recognized worldwide. He got honors in different countries, some of them like Cuba, Russia, even in South Africa. He got an award After independence, he got an award. So he is a well-decorated soldier. He was not just a president. He was a soldier. He was a commander-in-chief. So awards are many. He's a well-decorated soldier. So as of now, what you can see there is some visuals of the Inspector General of Namibian Police, Lieutenant General Joseph Shikongo. And then next to him, it's Commissioner from the Correctional Service, Commissioner Hamunyela. And then the mourners, they are just waiting now for the casket to be offloaded from the aircraft.
Well, as you've mentioned a little bit earlier before, of course, also we will be expecting some large crowds alongside the road, the main road, heading to Okahao there as well. The former member of cabinet, Ben Amadila, also there in the picture. Colonel, I think we might potentially move over to the generals as well, so that you can identify one or two of them that will be there. But large crowds, of course, expected there. Word of caution to the road users, particularly using the main road heading out of Ondangwa past Ongwediva, past Shakati, of course, heading to Okahao, to Etunda village as well, to really, really be careful as this procession will be coming their way, heading for a memorial service that's scheduled to take place between 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon today as well. So just a word of caution really, really for our road users that will be moving around that time as well. We know for a lot of you, a lot of the young'uns will be coming out of school as well. During the time, they make use of that road. So a word of caution to all the adults, if you're watching this, please do ensure that the children are really, really cared for and that they do not walk around the main road during that time as well. Let's quickly cross over to the airport so that we can listen in on some of the vocals from that end as well.
Atano longo na amano. Atano longo na amano. Tende dula manala pra, liwe tende itavelo. O tene dula manala pra, tuliwe teme itavelo pe. Monenele dalonge kidwa tate eti tunoni nase moamri natui dukange osake nino moamri natui Toka deo shakenen Venya ekaluki Atutantule akele Wakatuli Hayo kwa shesi Yes. Mix up.
What's happening at the moment? I've been taken off from the plane.
Yes, they are just pulling the gun carriage and hook it to the RG-32 so that they are able to collect the casket from the aircraft and load it on the gun carriage. So these are the troops that are the bearers that we spoke earlier in the morning, that they are preparing now to carry the casket from the aircraft and then place it safely on the gun carriage. And then the troops that you see now on your left on the screen, those are the Quota Guard. The Quota Guard is currently responsible. This Quota Guard, the specific Quota Guard at Ondangwa now, is just like the silent guard, which in the morning supposed to be at Hosea Kutako International Airport. They are responsible to receive and see off with honor the casket. Whenever it comes to the airport, there should be a Quota Guard. They receive and they send off the casket with honor. While at various regional memorial services, the casket will be honored also by a Quota Guard and the band. Like now from Ondangwa, upon the arrival of the casket at Tunda, there will be a Quota Guard and the band to receive again the casket upon the arrival of the casket at Tunda. And that will be the process throughout from one region to another region until we come back in Windhoek.
It's going to be, of course, a bit of a busy day for us here as well. Are we expecting any activity at the airport? Was it just receiving and then the procession starts from there to head out?
Just receiving. You will see immediately after they have loaded the casket into the gun carriage, they will just inform the seniors that you have seen, the people like His Excellency Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba and the whole mourners. They will be received that we are ready to take off, and they will kick off immediately with a procession.
So the activities there at the Ngwediva, at the Ondangwa Airport, formerly known as Ondangwa Airport, but now, of course, known as the Andimba Twevo International Airport.
Okay, that's now the Quota Guard preparing now or taking their position to receive the casket, meaning they are going now to honor the casket upon its arrival at the airport.
Well, we know, of course, that the body of the founding president was received early this morning at State House. That was the first point of departure, where a brief ceremony was held before the official procession began. And then, of course, moved over to his private residence in Avis immediately after that. And once they were done there, of course, conveniently just headed across to the Hosea Kutako International Airport around 11:30 this morning. The flight time from Hosea Kutako International Airport to Andimba Twevo, approximately 1 hour. And then, of course, now the offloading of the remains that will be taken to the gun carriage for the procession. In terms of the Quota Guard, what are their responsibilities, Colonel?
The Quota Guard are here to receive and honor the arrival of the casket at the airport, while the pallbearers, those ones who just turn to their right now, those are the pallbearers. These pallbearers are general officers, marshal officers, and flag officers. General from the Army, marshal from the Air Force, flags are from the Navy. So these are, most of them are, some of them are major generals, brigadier generals, and air vice marshal, and then rear admiral from the Navy. So the first one on our right here, that is Major General Petrus Nathinge, and then next to him is Brigadier General Willem Ankama, and then next to him is Rear Admiral Junior Grade Erastus Lazarus from the Navy. So what we are expecting now, it's for the bearers now to bring out the casket from the aircraft. So they are inside, they are just collecting now the casket and load it on the gun carriage. And then immediately the procession will kick off.
In terms of the pallbearers that are present there, are we looking at them being the same pallbearers at all the regional memorials, or do they also get interchanged according to the location that we are in?
The pallbearers, these pallbearers and the bearers will not change. They will be the same people throughout the whole procession, from Umsati to Ohangwena to Rundu to Zambezi to Erongo to Aras, and then again back in Commerce. They will be the same ones.
Well, and of course, as the Colonel was mentioning, as the procession starts, the team will move through Ondangwa, through Omalala, and then, of course, Ongwediva Shakati, and then we're expecting it to go to Onanda, headed up and ending up, of course, in Okahawa, Etunda. And the first regional memorial is expected to take place today at Etunda at around 2:30, but most probably at around 3 o'clock, a little bit after 3, that we can expect that to take place. Quite a rich history also for the location where we are right now, the Andimba Twevo Airport, formerly known as the Ondangwa Airport, certified, of course, by the IATA, OND, as well as ICAO, and serving Ondangwa and the major part of the northern regions in the country. The airport is about 5 kilometers or 3 miles northwest of the center of Ondangwa as well. And of course, quite a number of destinations. We know for now it's servicing being serviced from the Windhoek Eros Airport route, and allowing, of course, that movement between the capital city and the northern parts of the region as well.
So those are the pilots who were piloting this aircraft. The first one is Wing Commander Ndeshanya, and the next one is Wing Commander Shalimba. These colleagues have been pilots for a very long time, and they were trained in various countries, from Namibia, Zimbabwe, Zambia, South Africa, and also in China.
So what I'm noticing, of course, also the seniority of the military staff that is involved here as well. Is that deliberate?
It's a military procession, and that's why you need to have most of the senior officers, because it depends the level of the state funeral. This was the head of a state at one point, the first president of the Republic of Namibia. That level, it's always elevated to say the pallbearers should be major generals. If it was a minister, then the pallbearers would be lowered. So that's why you have now the major generals, you have your air vice marshals, you have your rear admiral, junior grades, or brigadier generals. In this case, you have all those ranks that are participating as pallbearers.
Part of the preparation where we see, of course, whenever there is movement like this, we see all the military officers standing on attention. Quite also surprised to see that the pilots themselves also came down and stood on attention to be able to receive the body being taken off.
Yes, we all have to come down and observe and honor the movement of the casket. So that's why you see everybody is there on attention, and they pay their respect. Because we are not supposed to have a lot of movements taking place. So there should be little movements, and only those who are responsible to handle the caskets should move around. Otherwise, everybody will be on a standstill.
Well, of course, just a reminder for those of you that will be, of course, attending the procession to please maintain their decorum, maintain a safe distance. We know we all want to pay respects to the founding father, but it's important that we are, of course, quite safe in terms of how we do that over the next couple of days, as it's going to be heading to a number of regions across the country. Talk to us a little bit about the vehicle, the camouflage, and you know, the type of vehicle that has been chosen to move the founding father across the country.
This is the RG32 vehicle. It's an APC, an armed personnel carrier. It's very powerful, and it's good for urban operation. That's why it's pulling the gun carriage. This specific one, it's only pulling it from here. From here at Ondangwa, at Andiba Airport, to Omsati, and then it will again pull it to Oangwena, and then it will pull it back to the airport. When the aircraft take off, the same vehicle move to the next destination, and not now Rundu. In Rundu, there's already one. It might move back to Walfish Bay to wait for the casket to arrive at Walfish Bay. Because at Rundu, there's a same vehicle, RG32. In Zambezi, in Katima, there's another vehicle waiting already. You should not, it's not a matter of when the plane leaves, that's when you send your vehicle to go on the ground. No, they should be on the ground already. And then in Windhoek, when we going to receive the casket back at Hosea Kotako International Airport, then we have the MKKO, which is going to pull the gun carriage. The only difference, it's the gun carriage that is moving together with the casket. Otherwise, we will have exactly the same vehicles, but in different regions. So the pallbearers just placed the casket on the gun carriage. So what we are expecting now is for the gun carriage to be closed, and I can see that they have placed it exactly in the same position where it was, and then they will very soon finish this activity, and immediately they will take off to Etunda.
And of course, just a reminder that once it's at Etunda, there will be an opportunity for you as a member of public, as a Namibian citizen, to go and view the body of the founding father. It will be lying in state until tomorrow morning, quite early, I think at 6 in the morning. That's when it will be moving to Enana, as we're expecting, for tomorrow morning, where at Enana, of course, there will also be an opportunity for a memorial service and the body also to lie in state. But that procession will be from around 6 in the morning up until 12:45. That's when it's expected for the processional team that will be moving, of course, with the military procession. And then we're expecting at the Enana Sports Stadium a memorial service to take place from 12:45 until 2 o'clock, or in fact starting at 2 o'clock until 6 o'clock. For that to take place. The body will lie in state tomorrow in Enana from 6 p.m. until 6 in the morning the next day, on Saturday morning, when it's expected to move on Saturday morning from the Ondangwa Airport, of course, now to the Rundu Airport, expected to land at around 10:45 in the morning on Saturday. So if you are in Rundu, of course, expect the body to arrive at around 10:45 Saturday morning for the procession. That will move to the Rundu Sports Stadium between 10:45 and 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when the memorial service at the Rundu Sports Stadium will take place. So if you are in Kavango East, please do make sure to make your way on Saturday because the procession will move from 10:45 from the airport down to the stadium at 2 o'clock, and at 2 o'clock the memorial service will start. Of course, we'll share with you the different transport and movement routes of the remains so that you can, of course, wait at a designated point to be able to salute your former Commander-in-Chief and the first president, the founding father of the Republic of Namibia. Now, once that has been concluded on Saturday at 6 o'clock in the evening, we're expecting the body to lay in state until the next morning. That's, of course, on Sunday, where it will move now from the Rundu Sports Stadium to the Mpacha Airport, and expected, of course, 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. The body arrives in Katima Mulilo, and once it arrives at Katima Mulilo, the procession will move at 10 o'clock in the morning from the Katima Mulilo, from Mpacha Airport to now the Katima Mulilo Sports Complex at 6 o'clock. From 2 to 6, there will be the memorial service that will commence at the Katima Mulilo Sports Complex. And then at 6 o'clock in the evening, the body will again lie in state, where the members of public will be welcome to go and view it at the Katima Mulilo Sports Complex. And after that, we're expecting it the next day, that's the Monday, the 24th of February, again to move from 6 in the morning to 6:15 from the sports complex down to the airport, and then arriving at the Grootfontein Military Airport at 11 in the morning. That's at Monday, the 24th of February. There will be a movement from the Grootfontein Military Airport from 11 until 2 in the afternoon, expected, of course, at the Umulunga Stadium, and then service to take place at from 2 to 6 at the Umulunga Sports Stadium, where again it will lie in state in the evening. So just a reminder, I think one of the uniform standings that we'll be seeing as part of this procession and the regional memorials is that all of them are scheduled to start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and last for about 4 hours until 6 p.m., whereas they will lie in state from 6 until the next morning at 6, where at 12 hours at each one of the regional memorials, you will have time to be able to view the body of the founding father of the Republic of Namibia, the first Commander-in-Chief of the Namibian Defence Force, of course, the Commander-in-Chief of the People Liberation Army of Namibia, PLAN, who was the military wing of the SWAPO party of Namibia. We're expecting, of course, the 5th memorial service to take place in Walfish Bay on Tuesday. Procession expected to land at 11 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday.
The visuals that are on your screen, this is the Vice President of the Republic of Namibia and President-elect. He's Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. She just came to receive the casket on behalf of the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Namibian Defence Force, His Excellency Nangolo Mbumba. So she will be representing the Chief Mourner at Etunda. So immediately we are expecting the procession to move to Etunda. That's why you see those movements of the bearers to vacate very soon that position, and the pallbearers are going to salute. And the saluting, it's a slow motion, very slow. It's not a normal fast, a quick salute. You can see they are saluting very slow, with respect. So on this side, we have in front there, we have Major General Ndengu, Actofel Ndengu Nambahu, and then he's followed by Air Vice Marshal Theophilus Shainde, who is the Air Force Commander, and then at last at the rear, that is Rear Admiral Ontep, the Navy commander. So the procession will already kick off.
And then, of course, with this movement, we're expecting it to, without stopping, head straight to Etunda.
Yes, there will be no stoppage unless otherwise, but as of now, they are just taking their position so that the procession can kick off to Etunda.
If you've just joined us, well, of course, very good afternoon to you and welcome to this special program, special broadcast. Of course, we're bringing you the funeral of the founding father of the Republic. A live visuals, of course, from the Andimba Twevo Airport, where the first memorial service is expected to kick off in the next hour and a half, 2 hours. Quite a huge logistical exercise for not only the Namibian Defence Force, the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, of course, also positioned across the country. We've sent out a number of teams to make sure that we bring you the coverage as it happens. I've expected, of course, in Etunda tonight, tomorrow in Enana or Hangwena region. That'll be followed by Kavango East in Rundu Town, Rundu Sports Stadium at 2 o'clock. Memorial service will take place there. That'll be followed, of course, by the Zambezi region in Katima Mulilo Town on Sunday the 23rd of February. Procession expected to move from 10:45 until 2 o'clock for the commencement of the memorial service, and then Sunday, Katima Mulilo, followed Monday by the Otjozondjupa region, Grootfontein Town. Memorial service expected to take place at 2 o'clock in the afternoon there as well. On Tuesday, for those of you that are in the Erongo region, please gather at Wallfish Bay Town, also at the Sports Stadium. A memorial expected to commence at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That'll be followed on Wednesday, the 26th of February, by the Kharas region in Keetmanshoop Town. Of course, also at the Sports Stadium, where the memorial service is expected to start at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A street procession in Windhoek is expected on Thursday, the 27th of February, 2025, the Khomas region. And that will, of course, in Windhoek City, the final memorial service at the Independence Stadium expected to take place at Friday, the 28th of February, of course. Usually the memorial services are held at the Parliament Gardens, but just because of the sheer size of the gathering that we're expecting, it's going to take place at the Independence Stadium on Friday, the 28th of February 2025. That also expected to kick off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, after which the body will lie in state to allow the public, of course, members of public, to go and view the body. We know, of course, there's a certain level of decorum that's expected when we are coming together at that gathering. And finally, the final resting place, the burial, will be at the National Heroes Acre on Saturday, the 1st of March 2025. The public expected to arrive from 5 and 6 in the morning in preparation for receiving, of course, the guest of honor, the chief mourner, His Excellency the President Nangolo Mbumba, that will be leading, of course, the proceedings and officiating at the burial at the National Heroes Acre. Colonel, when we're talking, of course, about the memorial services, I think you've probably taken us through what we're expecting to happen there as well, but a completely different movement and honors that will be provided at the Heroes Acre.
At the Heroes Acre or during the memorial service, the government will obviously prepare that program. Who will be the speakers, different speakers. We might expect some heads of states coming for the burial of our founding father. But also, the procession will start immediately once the casket has arrived at Hosea Kutako International Airport, it will go through the street of Windhoek, and there could be very, very few adjustments compared to what we had last year. I just want to highlight something here to say, in the morning, this morning, we had a chaplain who was leading in front in Commerce region. This time around, the chaplain, that specific chaplain, Wing Commander Jekonia Taukuheke, has remained in Commerce. And then another chaplain took over in Ondangwa. Currently, we have Lieutenant Colonel Malima is the one now leading. So he will lead from Ondangwa to Etunda and to Ohangwena. But going to Rundu, we'll have another chaplain. So all these people has already been deployed, and they are on standby to receive. So you plan ahead, and this is what exactly happening. And we'll see that the procession will not be delayed. The only people who are moving with a casket throughout are the bearers and pallbearers, because those ones, they are specifically assigned to those regions throughout the country. And then you have your vigil guards. The vigil guards are those ones who are going to guard the casket once it arrives at Etunda. So meaning the pallbearers and the bearers are going to hand over the casket at Etunda to the vigil guard commander. I stated also earlier in the morning that the vigil guard commander, in this case, we have Brigadier General Wandela, who is the commander of the 4 Artillery Brigade. And he is allocated officers under him who are going to guard the casket throughout the memorial service, plus throughout the lay in state. So they will be changing.
In terms of those guards, those can change compared to the bearers and the pallbearers, depending, of course, on the location where we're finding themselves.
Exactly. And these vigil guards will spend between 20 to 30 minutes standing along the casket, guarding the casket, and then they will be changing from time to time. And don't be surprised when you go to Ohangwena, the vigil guards have changed, or we can maintain them, but they can change. But for the pallbearers and bearers, they will not change. They will be the same people throughout until they come back with a casket to Commerce region.
Well, of course, if you just join us, still continuing with the live broadcast this afternoon, the body, of course, officially arriving in Ondangwa, and the procession has just started. We have, of course, our reporters on standby. We will be speaking a little bit later on also with Richeleng Ause standing by at the University of Namibia. They're expecting it to pass by there in Ongwediva. I think that will potentially be the first spot that will have quite a large gathering, a large crowd. As we know, he was an astute an educationalist, very, very passionate about education as well. A while back, we spoke to a Vice-Chancellor, Matengu, that just spoke to us a little bit around his passion and the vision he had for the University of Namibia. So no surprise that in the northern campus that there are many young Namibians, of course, standing by and waiting to provide that salutation and greet the president as he's passing by on his way to the final resting place there as well. And then we're expecting him to rise and go through Oshakati as well. Before that, of course, Malala, and then Oshakati, and headed to Okahau, where at Etunda village, the first memorial service will potentially take place. I think now looking at the time, perhaps, Colonel, around 2:30, or not 2:30, but perhaps maybe 3 o'clock or 3:30.
We are looking at 3 o'clock. We are looking at 3 o'clock because it will take you about 2 hours from Ondangwa to Etunda, because they will pass on Marara, as you said, on Bediva, they will pass on Nanda Junction, and then they will pass on Fituwarani, and then they will arrive at Etunda. So it will take us 2 hours, exactly 2 hours from now on. So we expect them to start at least by 3 o'clock, because it's almost 2 o'clock already. So they might start even at 3:30, because time is not on our side, and the time will also determine how long the program will last, because time is not on our side, and we expect them now to have been maybe joining the main road to Omalala.
Just, of course, the significance of the movement of the procession. We know, of course, the first stop was here at the Windhoek residence. Talk to us just a little bit about the importance of course, taking into Etunda first, to have that first regional memorial in Etunda before it moves across to the rest of the country.
This is where he was born. This is where he was raised. This is his home village. It is good that he go back home. And then you have a memorial service there where everybody will be able to come and pay their last respect. We also expect people from part of Kunene also to join Omosati. And these are people from far, Opuo, or Makange, or Rwakana. So you have all these people making their ways to Etunda. It is the issue of where you are coming from, where are your roots. So him starting there, it's also good, because it's one way just from Etunda to Ohangwena, straight to Rundu, Katima, and then Katima to Erongo, and then to Aras region. So it's very important that he start where he came from.
Well, of course, one of the important spots that will be where the body will, of course, also pass by is Oshakati. We know Oshakati, capital of Oshana region as well, established in 1966, has been also, played a crucial role during the liberation struggle as well, a focal point for our freedom fighters there. So just reflect a little bit on the importance of really just touching base on that regional capital before heading out to Omalala and before heading out to Okahau.
During the liberation struggle, Oshakati was the main operating base of the South African apartheid. It was Sector 10. And on various occasions, Oshakati has been attacked by plant fighters. And it is not easy to penetrate until in Oshakati, because it is also surrounded by villages. Last Tuesday, during the memorial service at the residence, we have heard from General Shali, we have heard from Commander Erastus Negonga, that on several times they have managed to attack Oshakati, which was the main operating base of the South African apartheid regime. So it needs somebody who is a tactician and a strategist to plan when you attack a town like Oshakati. That base, it's in town, but they manage to attack it from different angles. From some of them have even approached it from Ongwediva side, some they've approached it from Okatana side, some have approached it even from they call it Ombuga or the desert. So it's not an easy task to come in the public as a plain combatant assigned to come and attack, whether it's by whatever means you are using. That is your own tactic that you must apply. But they have successfully conducted those operations until they liberated Namibia and we gained independence.
Of course, also still a very strategic location for the Namibia Defence Force, even during independence.
Yes, it is, and up to now that base is there. We have occupied most of the South African bases, and it's strategically located that you can reach out very quick, whether you want to reach to Omsati region, or you want to reach Ohangwena region, or you want to reach Kunene region. You will be able to render the services to the public or to the masses. So therefore, having a base in that location also serves an advantage whenever you are carrying out your operations.
Still continuing, of course, the Colonel Peter Shilumbu joining me here in Studio 2 at the headquarters of the Namibia Broadcasting Corporation, just providing some support and insights in terms of the proceedings that are taking place for today. Procession has formally started. It has departed from the Andimba Twevo ya Twevo International Airport, and now heading straight to Ongwediva as well. We will be crossing over in a few minutes now just to hear the preparations and how things are looking like at Etunda region, at Etunda village right now. We now cross over to reporter Napanda Shuya, who is in Okahau, Etunda, where the remains of the founding president, Sam Nujoma, are expected to arrive. Napanda, can you describe the atmosphere in Etunda as people wait to pay their respects to the founding president?
Good afternoon to you in studio, as well as good afternoon to our viewers at home. We are coming to you live from Etunda village, where the first regional memorial service of the late founding president and founding father of the Namibian nation is taking place. This afternoon I'm joined by the Minister of Information and Communication Technology, Emma Tefelis, to just run us through today's program. Mr. Fellows, thank you so much for joining us. What can we expect during today's proceedings?
Thank you so much, Panda, and a very good afternoon to all the viewers and listeners back home. Yes, we are reaching closer to that hour for us to start our first regional memorial service, the first of its kind, where a national hero has been declared a state funeral by His Excellency the President, Dr. Nangolo Mpumba, where we have, of course, everyday memorial services at the residence in Windhoek. It was felt by the leadership and the Commander-in-Chief himself, who has commanded us through this entire time, that every Namibian to get an opportunity to say farewell to the icon that was founding president and founding father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma. And that is why we are here in Etunda village in Omusati region, where we came earlier this morning from Ondangwa at the Andimba Toivo Airport, where we saw the planes arrive, the first one carrying the former president, His Excellency Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba, who early this morning, at dawn really, joined His Excellency Dr. Nangolo Mpumba at State House for a silent guard ceremony, where they sent off the body to then the family household, where the family received the remains of our founding president, and when the family got a chance to look at the remains in the casket of our founding president, where after the body went to Hosea Kutako International Airport and has now since arrived. We expect that the procession should be on its way by now, accompanied, of course, by His Excellency the former president, and the delegation accompanying the body made up of family members, by military personnel and other stakeholders who have been given the responsibilities to do so. We anticipate that when the body arrives here at the homestead where the memorial service will be happening, the body will first go into the house, where it will be received by the family members there. And of course, it's up to the family how they would like to receive the body, and to receive the body of our founding president in the home and in the area where he was born, which is Etunda village. Thereafter, the body will come here in this very tent where we are sitting, the Panda, where the casket will be put by the pallbearers, and we expect then the proceedings to start of the memorial service. This will be, of course, be accompanied by the family and the representative of the chief mourner, who will be the vice president and president-elect, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. The program has a number of speeches, ranging from tributes to eulogies and so on. Some of the speakers include former Prime Minister Right Honorable Nasanga, who will be delivering the eulogy. We also expect tributes from the sister of our founding President Meme Julian Nujoma. We expect tributes from representatives of the former Liberation Army of Namibia, who will then give a speech on behalf of all former planned combatants and veterans of the liberation struggle. We expect tributes from the SWAPO party, which will be delivered by the Secretary General, Comrade Sophia Shaningwa, who has since also arrived. and a few other people who will be paying tribute to the icon that was His Excellency, former President, founding President, Dr. Nujoma. And once that has been concluded, the public, with of course the representative of the Chief Monarch, will start to view the body, and that process will go on as long as it will be, because the whole point was to ensure that everyone who manages to pitch up at these memorial services can have the opportunity to look and see the face of the founding president. And once that process continues, the body will then lie in state right here at the Tunda village, at the homestead of our late founding president. So we expect that the activities will go very late into the evening, because whoever gets a chance to then make their way will do so.
We are also seeing that there are thousands of people here that are already occupying the tents, the structures that were put up. Tell us about the laying in state of the body. What is expected from the public in terms of videos? Can we teach of the late in the casket, maybe for memorable or remembrance in his honor? Or how should we do it as we view his body this afternoon? That is especially for viewers at home and also those that are following the proceedings on all NBC platforms.
Well, that's a very important question, and Panda, because in the past we have seen the magnitude of this type of memorials, especially at this level. Fresh on my mind is the passing of His Excellency, our third president, Dr. Hage G. Geingob. So when the community gets the opportunity to view the remains, the body of our former and founding president, of course we need to do it under the instructions and clear instructions of the Namibian Defence Force. That particular aspect of the program will be dictated by them, and it has strict regulations on how it's done. So issues related to taking videos of the body in the casket, pictures, or trying to cause, a delay in exercising your given right to actually view the body will not be tolerated. And I'm sure the colonel that will be responsible will also be happy to explain that process to everyone who's here at the Tunda, in the process in which we need to conduct ourselves. So yes, that will not be permitted, but it's expected that it should be sufficient to be able to view the body ourselves in the flesh, and to see our icon, and that truly he has left us, and truly we can say our final goodbyes. So we really urge everybody really here who is here at the Tunda to follow the instructions as they are being announced by either the directors of ceremonies or any other responsible personnel on the ground, so that we run this program as smoothly as possible. Like I said in the past, this has not been done in the history of Namibia, where state funeral is taken to the people, taken to the regions. It's logistically very heavy. It requires a lot of input and effort. It requires a lot of moving pieces that must move in a coordinated manner. So it's not an easy task. And therefore we ask and plead to the nation not only to be with us, but also to please make our work easier in ensuring that this gesture that we are giving to our founding president is done in a respectful and dignified manner to give him the farewell that he so deserves.
Definitely. Tell us about the crowds that are here. I've seen definitely that the young and old are here. Particularly one that I want to single out is the thousands of war veterans that are here to pay tribute to their fallen hero, to pay tribute to their commander-in-chief. Tell us about that.
Indeed, we have seen really more and more people making their way here to Etunda. When I came from the airport in Ondangwa, there was also a big convergence of former plant combatants and veterans of the liberation struggle who converged at the airport to welcome their commander-in-chief, to welcome the men who commanded them through the liberation struggle. And it's really heartwarming to see that many are still here. Many are still energetic enough to pay their final respects and last respects to the men who commanded them to ensure we achieve the independence and freedom that we have today. So we're really grateful that they came, and we are grateful for every citizen really who took out the time today to come and join us. And even those who, and we've been getting queries to say, why don't we declare a public holiday on dates of these memorial services? Unfortunately, it would be impractical to prepare to actually declare a public holiday during the memorial services. Imagine today we are at the Tunda, tomorrow we're in Enana, the day after we're in Rundu, the day after in Katima Mulilo, and on until the body is back in Windhoek. So it's not practical and it's not possible. So we urge, and this is why with the power of technology, we can follow online. It's available through these NBC platforms, both on television and radio. So the avenues are multiple in which all of us can follow the proceedings. But of course, we expect that the proceedings here of the memorial service at the Tunda will go beyond 5 o'clock. And any of those who are in the vicinity who can make their way after, their shift has ended or their time has ended, can still come and join. Can still come even at 8 p.m. to come and view the body of the late former and founding president of our country, because it's going to lie in state here at the Tunda.
Minister, thank you so much for your time. We'll be engaging with you as the time goes.
Thank you for having me, and may the soul of our founding president rest in peace, and we hope that we are able to give him the dignified farewell that he so deserves.
That was the Minister of Information Communication Technology, Ms. Emma Theophilus, briefing us on today's engagements as to what is going to transpire throughout the day. As the procession has kicked off, they have already started driving from the airport on their way to Etunda. It had stated that it will take about 3 hours or so for the late's remains to arrive at its parents' homestead here in Etunda. Now, thousands of people are already here at for the memorial service ahead of time to ensure that they get seats and not be standing in the scorching sun. Now, this afternoon, I'm privileged again to speak to a local businessman, David Kambwa. He has been a very good friend of the founding president throughout his business tenure, and he will just share with us the importance of the Namibians, especially Namibian business people, to carry the legacy of the late founding father and his vision for economic emancipation. David, thank you so much for joining us. As we await the remains of the late president, tell us, what are the main highlights? How would you remember him? Because you also got enough time you had the opportunity, if I may say, to engage with him both professionally and on a personal level. Tell us about your engagements with the late founding president.
Yes, thank you very much. It's very, very important. The founding father, Dr. President of Namibia, who we are mourning today here at Tutua, is the one who really made us to be business people, as we are really a Namibian business people who were made by Dr. President of Namibia. I remember the time when he is always coming here at the Tunda. Always when he come here, I get to know him 2006. And then he was really inspiring us. When we go to rallies, he was talking about that, no, Namibia, we already liberated politically, but economically, we needed to take it over. We want to create our Namibian people so that they can take over, they can do business in our country. And then we were really listening to him. And then I have been one of them that I was really looking at him and tell him that, and listen to him, and we started our own business. As we are now, like we have Kamba Trading, that is really recruiting more people because of the word of Dr. President of Namibia, our hero that we are mourning today here. He makes sure that Namibia must take it somewhere. Our economy must be in our hand as business people of the country, as we are born from Namibia. Then now, when Dr. President come and visit here at the Tunda, he's always coming to my business there at my office. He really coming to my office, like it's really upstairs, but even the last 1 year, 2 years ago, he really tried, and then his officials said, oh, Tatekuru, maybe it's too far, you cannot go. I said, no, let me go and talk to my fellow business people. We really need to discuss how we can take the country forward. And then he always come, and he doesn't make any appointment. They don't even do any appointment. They just over. I said, Coco, who is that? My PA are already telling me that, no, the founding father is outside, he's looking for you. And then, okay, let him come in. He come, we go in the office, we talk about business, we talk about how we can create more jobs for our Namibian people, how we reduce poverty in our country. He really encouraging us business people. Said, no, yes, please try to hold the economy. We are making sure that that the country in peace, that we make sure that the country is secured, but at the business and job creation, please, we really try to tell you and tell your other fellow business that take the country somewhere. Those are the word of encouragement that is always telling us also that I can transfer it to other fellow business people also. Also today, that's why I'm also happily requesting all our fellow business people here in Umsati region, especially in Okahao, Shakati, Tsandi, wherever, they must come and they must come and pay tribute and respect the first memorial service here at the Tunda. We are really encouraging them to come, especially me myself. I make sure that my business here in Okahao, from 2 o'clock, I let them cross. All the employees, they must come and give the final respect to our founding father. He's the one who made it to be happening. He's the one who made them to have the jobs, the one who made it to be everything as we are today. So I'm also encouraging other fellow business people around the corner, whenever the memorial service, as we start here at the Tunda, please, they must also try to give a final respect to our founding father.
Thank you so much, David, for your time. We'll also be engaging with you a bit later on throughout today's procession. That was David Kambwa. He's a businessman that was privileged enough to have been engaged with the late founding president, both professionally as well as on a personal level, in terms of getting the opportunity for the founding father to just share a few ideas how we can grow his business. He is calling all the business people from around Okahao and the Tunda to shop at 2 o'clock so that they can allow the employees to attend the memorial service at the Tunda. And the Pandashui are reporting from Tunda here in the Umsati region. It's back to in studio.
Yes, the floor is yours.
Dapanda Shuya coming to us there from Etunda village, just giving us some insights. Of course, she spoke a little bit earlier to Mr. David Kambwa, one of the most influential business people there in northern Namibia, also a good friend, and then the Minister of Information and Communication Technology, just taking us through the program of what's expected. We now cross over to Richeline Auses, who is stationed at Ongwediva, just with a brief update as the remains will be passing by very shortly through that part of the country. Richeline, how's the atmosphere on that end?
The residents of Ongwediva are lined up just outside the Hifikepunye Pohamba UNAM campus to pay homage to a great leader, one that fought for the liberation, of this country. And as we are waiting for the remains of Dr. Nujoma, for the procession to get here, people are here singing, they are in groups. It is, of course, hot, and some are waiting under the trees, but many of the residents have already lined up along the road, so they are able to be part of this memorable event, which will then proceed on to Oshakati from Ongwediva, and then thereafter obviously turn off to Okahao, where the founding hails from. And as we were informed earlier on, the memorial service is scheduled to start from 2 p.m. this afternoon. And dignitaries are already making their way there to Etunda. And if you can also see that there are other dignitaries that are still en route to Etunda, so they could also make part of the memorial service. But earlier on, when we spoke to some of the people in the education sector, they were talking about how the late founding president has set an example that even if you come to an older age, the age should not be a number, should not limit you basically, that you can still go back to school, you can still go and study, because the foundation that we need to create is very important for the generation to come. So therefore, we need to make sure that education is one of the priorities here in Namibia. And they also spoke about how the president made sure that Namibians get education, and not just any basic education, but quality education. And also some of the things that they mentioned is that the founding has made sure that after Namibia has received its independence, that the economic emancipation of Namibia has come up. And just not that, there was one resident that spoke about the significance of railway, as much as some people might downplay it, that the railway transport was one of the significant things that they have received in this region up north. And also school learners. We saw school learners there saying, rest in peace, Tatekulu, pardon me, Sem Safishuna Nujoma. And it was really beautiful to see. And when I was engaging with these little ones from the primary schools, they were telling me that, you know, Auntie, we are here, and people think we don't know why we are here, but we have also been part of the history of this country. We know that Tatekulu is a very big man and he's respected. He's the one that fought and made sure that today we are able to be sent by our parents without our parents having to stress about the need to pay school fees, you know, the need for quality education to be here in Namibia. So those are some of the things that the people shared. And also, of course, the university students are also really happy with the legacy that Dr. Nujoma is leaving behind in terms of education. But when we look at it on a broader scale of the general public, they are saying that as much as we are in the period, pardon me, of mourning, that it is a celebration. They are saying, why is it that we feel like every time we have lost people, we need to cry? They are saying we were given His Excellency, the late Dr. Nujoma, for such a long period of time, and we should indeed be grateful for the lessons that we have learned from him, from the things that he has taught us, for the things that he has made sure, because he was also just not a statesman, they say, but he was also one that would lovingly be part and parcel of the Namibian community, not just on the presidential level, but also as a level of somebody also hailing from these regions and also part of the villages up here in the north. So people are really saying that it's rather a moment of celebration and being thankful, and therefore you will see that with the past memorial services that have been covered, that the people are really happy. They are singing with joy. I can almost say immediately feel the joy that comes out of their voices. But the procession is making its way here, so our residents are really, really waiting in anticipation, and the people are, you know, it's as if, yes, our president is on our way. We want to see our president. We want to pay those last respects to our president. However, the law enforcement is also really trying for the residents to adhere to not stepping into the road, but being in a safe space where they are out of harm's way. And at the same time, everybody is able to see that nobody is covering anybody. So it's really good to see that Namibians come out together to pay respect to the founding president and the father of the Namibian nation. So as the time goes, we will still give an update on the happenings here in the northern region. I know that a colleague of mine, Martha Nekwaya, is also on standby to give you an update on the other end as we turn off to the Okahao Road. And then, of course, Tapanda is at the residence. And Tapanda will also give us an update there. Earlier on, she spoke to the Minister of Youth, Information, Communication, pardon me. As you can see, the procession is here. The residents of Ongwediva are singing, "We remember President Comrade, pardon me. We salute you, our president." And there you have it. The procession is on its way to Etunda, where the founding hails from, where the first regional memorial service is going to take place as of 2 p.m. Some of the residents of the towns are, however, able to make it, saying that they are busy with work, but they will be tuning into all NBC platforms so they too can be part and parcel when it comes to sending off his founding in a very befitting manner. There you have it, Namibia. This is the part of the Ongwediva, like I mentioned earlier on, at the Dr. Ifikepunye Pohamba campus of UNAM. The proceeding will follow, and then they will then turn off to the Okahao Road, where Martha Nekwaya is on standby to also give you an update. And earlier on, it really looked beautiful with the residents singing, carrying out the Namibian flag, and, you know, just rejoicing and being happy that, you know, we had a great leader. We need to be thankful. We need to be happy. What more did we expect from him at the time after everything he has done? Ricardo, let me give it back to you in studio.
Thank you very much, Richo, for bringing us that report. Of course, just moving through Ongwediva. As we know, the destination right now is Oshakati. We know there's, of course, also some large crowds gathered there in Oshakati to really just salute the former Commander-in-Chief, the first President of the Republic of Namibia. After that, they will be heading directly to Okahao and Etunda, where Tapanda Shui is, of course, also on standby to give us those details there as well. Colonel, one of the things I really noticed is that even when the procession comes where there are quite a concentration of civilians standing by on the side, it does not slow down.
No, they have to maintain the speed. Remember, they have to cover a speed of 107 kilometers from Ondangwa to Okahao. And Etunda is just before Okahao. So that distance require you to have a speed that you can sustain throughout. So it's not a higher speed, but as long as the procession have passed by and people have waved their hands to the late founding president. So as of now, we are expecting the procession to approach already Kanjegedi Bridge. Kanjegedi Bridge is just between Oshakati and Ongwediva. So they are likely now to approach that bridge. And if they can sustain the same speed as we have observed, they will make it by 3:30 to be at Etunda. Because from Oshakati to Okahao, it's another 60 kilo. So the distance is long. But remember that they are covering a distance of 107 kilometers from Ondangwa to Etunda.
So from Ondangwa to Etunda, of course, quite a distance that still needs to be covered there as well. Now, the birthplace of Namibia's founding father, Sir Nujoma, settled in the Musati region. We've mentioned a little bit earlier around the importance of Etunda as the place where everything, and of course, started as well. I think perhaps the best thing for everybody to do would be rather to head to at Tunda to go and pay respects at the memorial service that is expected to kickstart at 2 o'clock this afternoon until 6 o'clock. And then at 6 o'clock, that's when the body will be lying in state throughout the night until the next morning at 6. And there you will have the opportunity, of course, to view the body as well. But for now, stay with us. So we're going to go for a quick visit to the marketplace. When we come back, we'll continue, of course, with the coverage, and every step of the way the broadcast will be brought to you by the Namibia Broadcasting Corporation, with teams that are waiting for us across all the regions where the body will be coming to bring you all that information. Please do remember to visit our digital platforms, NBC Digital News. That's where you can get the details. Of course, the latest addition to our social media arsenal is also the TikTok news updates. For those of you that love to be on that platform, you can get short snippets of the news on that platforms as well. Do engage with us, share with us your thoughts, and of course your condolences that you're sending out to the rest of the nation. Stay with us. We continue with the broadcast when we come back after the break. Well, of course, here's some scenes from the man whose life is intertwined with the life of the Republic of Namibia. Its very existence, of course, coming through his sacrifice and sweat. Nonetheless, we continue with the procession. As you can see, some of those visuals that were there a little bit earlier on. But for now, we're going to quickly cross over back to reporter Ndapanda Shuya, who is in Okahao, Etunda, where the remains of the founding president, Nujoma, are expected to arrive. She's standing by, of course, there to speak to us with Dalan Ilende, who is the chairperson, basically, of the organizing committee, the memorial organizing committee, putting the memorial service together on that end. Ndapanda, it's over to you.
The remains so that they can commence with the memorial service here at the homestead of his late parents. I'm now joined by Daniel Ilende. He is the spokesperson of the organizing committee pertaining to today's proceedings here in the Umsati region. Mr. Ilende, tell us, thank you so much for coming through today. Tell us, Namibians are waiting to bid farewell or to just remember the life and times of the late founding president. Tell us, what is the numbers that we are expecting today, and what can we look forward to today's memorial service?
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ndapanda. Of course, we are here at Tunda, Onganjera, that is Umsati region, the residence where our founding president and the father of the Namibian nation has been born. Really, this is a heavy news as we have to bid farewell to the father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Samshafishuna Nujoma. Since now the passing on of our founding father, mourners or people has flocked to Etunda, and they have been here paying tributes, paying homage, paying last respect to Tatekuru Omkokore, that is Tatekuru Dr. Samshafishuna Nujoma. So now we are here today, and we are going into the memorial service that will be starting soon, as we have heard morning time that the remains of our founding father has now traveled from Windhoek to Toivo, and now they are on the way to Etunda, that is Onganjera. Here, as you can see, the preparations are in full swings. We are looking at about 20,000 people to come here today from Umsati region, nearby villages, nearby regions. Of course, like now, the tents are already full. So really, we are talking about our founding father. And our founding father is this is a man who have been respected by many Namibians, not just by Namibians, but by Africans and the world. You are talking about a freedom fighter. You are talking about a person who brought independence to Namibia. So really, people have to come here. They came here even early the morning time. They were here, so they are sitting here patiently, waiting to see the body of Tatekuru.
Tell us government decision to allow the Namibian people the opportunity, especially those in the regions other than the Commerce region, an opportunity to say farewell to their leader, to say farewell to their hero. Tell us, through your engagements as a regional councillor, what was the word on the ground from the members of the public pertaining to the decision by government to allow them to be part of these processions?
Yes, the nation really thought that maybe because Tatekulu has died in Windhoek, then the Tatekulu must just be buried in Windhoek without seeing the body for the last time. So really the people have cried foul that no, Tatekulu must come home. He must come home, especially at Etunda where he was born, so that we can see the body for the last time, so we can say goodbye to our father, so we can say goodbye to the father of the Namibian nation. Yes, so really the government has understood us and they make the right decision. This is the right decision. So of course, really to say goodbye to Tatekuru Mkokoli.
Tell us, what can we expect when the remains arrive here? What is going to happen?
Yes, when the remains arrive here, the body of our founding president will go home at his house there where he usually sleep, and then the family will be given that opportunity to say the last goodbye. Then after the family have said goodbye, then Tatekulu will now come to the tent where we are. So now the people are here patiently waiting for Tatekulu's body. So now the remains will then come here, and then the program will start. The program of the day will start. As you are aware that probably our director of ceremonies, you know them, Tate Niro Tapopi and Honorable Cornelia Iyambula, the mayor of Okahao town. They will start, then the proceedings will go on, and I believe you have gone already through the program. So we will be here. The people pay tributes. There will be songs. The man is also here. They will also give us some songs. So it's really going to be an interesting day. We are also having some young people, so they also learn the history of our founding president. So it's going to be quite interesting day. This is for the first time we are saying goodbye to the father of the Namibian nation. We always come here for birthday. So today we are coming here to say goodbye for the last time.
Saying goodbye might not be easy. What can we expect when the late remains arrive here at the homestead, looking at the magnitude of the people that have already turned up in their thousands?
Yeah, no, that is not an easy task. That's not an easy task. That's emotional. That's very, very touching. That's an emotional. You would want to see our founding president stays. Wisdom could just run. So now it's very difficult. It's going to be very difficult when the remains come here. It's going to be really emotional. But nevertheless, we can see that our people are calm, and really, when they see the body, probably they also believe, yes, our father has gone to rest.
For the viewers at home, who are the majority here? Is it the young people, the elderly, the plain or ex-combatants? Who is here? Which dynamics are out at play? Who is here? Which demographic is more represented today here?
Yes, I could say that the veterans demographic, they are a lot here, and they have almost full up a tent, and they are also veterans now that are also with the body of Tatekuru. So there are a lot. Then we are also having now people from nearby villages, professionals. Yeah. Then we also have dignitaries, ministers. Some of them have arrived here. Our Secretary General is also here, Comrade Sophia Nahango Shaningwa. So we have seen various ministers. NDF, they are here. They have also performed, because they have to also to give that respect to the Namibian Defense Force. Yes, so thank you very much.
Councillor, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be engaging with you again because you are the spokesperson of the local organizing committee. So as the day goes, we'll still be engaging with you. That was the chairperson of the organizing committee for the responsible for information dissemination. Now, we all know that President Nujoma was the founding member of the SWAPO party, and who better to speak about him, who better to pay befitting tributes, if not the SWAPO party's Secretary General, that is Ms. Sophia Shaningwa. She joins us here now at Etunda to just reflect on the journey of Son of the Soil that Namibia has lost. Ms. Shaningwa, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us, Namibians are waiting to pay their last respects here to remember the late founding president, who was also a founding member of the SWAPO party. What is your message to Namibians, especially the SWAPO party members that are here in their thousands, including ex-plain combatants who came to salute their commander once more?
No, thank you very much. During this very solemn moment that the land of the brave is experiencing, as we have lost our founding president of our republic and the nation, the father of the Namibian nation. At this moment, the whole country is down. We were not prepared that our founding president will go today, forever. though of course we know that he hasn't been feeling well, but we haven't been prepared for this event. Nevertheless, we are not questioning the Almighty God. We are only saying that the Founding Father has worked tirelessly for the country, for the people of this country, for Africa and the world. For the SWAPO party members that are here, the Namibians at large, the plan fighters that are joining us here and elsewhere, following on social medias, I only want to say, let us remain calm as we are mourning our father. We thank him for what he has done for our country, for the women, for the children, for the veterans, and for the society at large. We thank Nujoma, and we are only saying, rest in peace, our father, and God bless you always. Thank you.
SG, what are some of the qualities that Namibians can take from the late president or former president of this country in terms of moving Namibia forward in terms of job creation, economic emancipation that is expected, or that is the key aspect that Namibians need to drive towards because the liberation struggle has been won and now we are fighting a new challenge that is before us?
Comrade Dr. Safisuna Nujoma is a person who didn't like laziness. He always wanted people to do for themselves. He is leaving us with a firmness in whatsoever we are doing. He is leaving us with dedication and commitment to whatsoever we are supposed to do, wherever we are placed in our different titles and portfolios for the benefit of this country. And therefore, these are some teachings, the teachings of loving one another, the teaching of loving your country, the teaching of making a difference wherever you are for the benefit of all. I think these are some qualities that we are taking from Nujoma, qualities of non-surrender, quality of firmness, qualities of steadfastness, qualities of forth-looking, qualities of looking forward, and the quality of believing in your people. He didn't believe only in himself. He believed in his people. He believes in teamwork, for he always believed that together we can make a difference instead of one working alone. Those are some of the qualities, and I think for what we have to do, we have to work very hard for our country to produce enough food, to see to it that our children are educated, to see to it nobody, as Dr. Hage Gundkop also said, is not left behind. We have to move together as a team. We have to move together as a country. We have also to pull together as a nation. We should be always see ourselves as one Namibia, one nation. It's only through that we can do whatsoever we have to do when none is being discriminated in the process, as we are trying and striving to bring about the development of our country and to bring our people to the fore, and also to bring prosperity to each and every Namibian. I would like to say we are few to be poor. We are few to be poor, and I think that was the vision of Comrade Nujoma, just to see to it that at least the national resources that we are having in our country benefit all of us as a nation.
SG, one of the highlights in this memorial services, it's because it is the first memorial service, regional memorial service of a series of about 7 to come. What does this mean? What did it mean for the party that Tatekulu belonged to in terms of according the thousands of Namibians as well as SWAPO party members who are unable to travel to actually come and pay their respects from their respective regions?
Yes, we understand that all the SWAPO party members, for sure, everybody wanted to be here. but sometimes it's because of the distances, it's because of resources. What we are saying is that let us be unified wherever we are during this moment, as we are paying our homage, as we are paying our last tribute to our leader. Bringing Nujoma here is not only that we must bring him here, this is his home ground. This is where he was born. And this is a significant moment that we are bringing a son to his soul, where he first cried as a leader that God has prepared for Namibia. That is the significance. And therefore, it's not only here in Omusati. Of course, we wanted to get the remains of our leader to each and every corner of this country. But the time and the resources might not allow us to do so. So let us just celebrate, all of us, and see ourselves instead of us pushing out of the system. We are one always as we are moving forward.
SG, Namibians know that the founding president, even after his retirement from active politics, remained an anchor within the SWAPO party. Now, being the Indian of the party, what would you like, or how would you like the party to move forward without one of its anchors in terms of mobilizing its people to still be firm and be loyal to the party?
I think we must really come to terms with the departure of our founding president. It is naturally so that one of the day all of us will perish from this Mother Earth. And our founding president is not of exception. He was made. He is made out of flesh, blood, and bone. And one day, definitely, he should also go. Therefore, with his departure, we should be able to strengthen ourselves as a party. We should be able to not forget his teachings and his learnings and his ideals that he had to keep this party intact. We should be together. We should make sure that it is because of SWAPO that our country got independence. It is because of the blood that was shed during the time that Nujoma was a commander-in-chief of the People's Liberation Army of Namibia that our country got independence. We should never forget about the tasks and the responsibilities that were put on Nujoma's shoulder by the Almighty God and by the people of this country. And therefore, as we are moving forward as a party, we should honor the courage. We must honor the vigor and determination in Nujoma. And we should also try by all possible means to emulate the good work of Comrade Nujoma. And we should then, to keep his legacy, we should be able to see to it that the party that he led for 47 years is not disappearing from Mother Earth. We have to make sure that this party, SWAPO party, the SWAPO party remains forever, for now and for the future generation. It is a party of good ideals. It is a party of good aims and objectives. And therefore, this is the only party through where the blood is shed for the independence of this country. And for that legacy alone, as Nujoma, as a young man, having commanded the war, we should honor him and remember him and keep his party alive. This is what I have to say, and I'm only advising the SWAPO party that we should never push away from these ideals. Nujoma never discriminated. Nujoma was for all. Nujoma understood that from west, from east, from north, from south, all the people were Namibians. Nujoma didn't know the villager of his. Nujoma took us as Namibians, as his children, as his comrades, as his compatriots. Nujoma wanted us to be looking forward in determining the future of this country altogether. That was the character of Nujoma. He is not a discriminative character. He was a pulling figure for the people of the Republic of Namibia. And I just think that with that what's left behind by Nujoma, we should all become the pullers of the nation, so that at least together we stand and we move forward to see to it that we develop our country for the future generation, for our children, and for Namibia to remain intact with itself and with the neighbors and Africa at large, and also with the world.
As you also had the opportunity to engage with him both professionally on a political level and on a personal level, tell us about your personal moments with the late president and what you are going to carry through going forward without him.
Yeah, one thing that I must really tell you is myself and Nujoma. Nujoma was born on the 12th of May, 1929. I was born on the 13th of May, 59. Myself and Nujoma, we have a common denominator, and that is that we are Taurans. We are Tauruses. We have exactly the same character. We have the same behavior. We are firm people. We don't waver easily. What you see from us is what you get, and that is Nujoma. When there is a problem, we tackle the problem quickly and we solve it. When there is peace, we are peaceful. When things are not all right, we have to make sure that it comes back where it belongs. And on personal level, Nujoma was my advisor. He was my advisor. He pushed me through as a young girl. Went to Soviet Union, where I spent a couple of years, almost 6 years. I became a councillor. I became a governor for Commerce region, 7 years. I became a governor under his tutelage, 5 years in Omusati region. I became a minister. He was still alive. I became a secretary general. So I was under his commandment. I was under his teachings all the time and then. And even when I needed to be advised and I stuck somewhere, I could always go to Nujoma for advices. But what I learned as a person is that Nujoma doesn't discriminate. He didn't have an elbow. Nujoma pulled people to him, and that is one thing that one must take to be able to pull the people together if you want to succeed, and that was Nujoma. Yeah.
In a few minutes, the late president's remains will be arriving here at a Tunda village. This is the village where he grew up, so we are going to see, or we've witnessed, his family members are here, his neighbors that have also grown up with him or they have grown before his eyes will also be here, as well as various political leaders and the general members of the public from the 4 northern regions, as well as parts of the Kunene region. What can we expect in terms of the emotions that might play out?
Yes, I think the emotions will be higher. But really, I have been trying also to counsel myself. And I'm also just advising that we must remain calm. I know if Nujoma could stand up, he will tell us, hey, you, don't mourn like that. You must understand that I have done what I was supposed to do, and I'm done with my tasks. This is Nujoma could encourage us to remain calm and make peace with his departure. And therefore, I'm just encouraging all of us to remain calm, to mourn him with respect, to know that this man has delivered in all the missions that were assigned to him by the Namibian people, by our country, by Africa, and by the world at large. Nujoma has done his best. What else do we expect? All what we must do is to emulate from his good example. I am encouraging the residents of Okahao, the residents of Omusati region, the Namibian people at large, his friends, the combatants with whom he spent half of his life in the bushes, to remain calm and also courageous as we are moving forward without our founding father. And we are only saying glory to the life and to the soul of our founding father, and let him, the soul of our commander, rest in eternal peace.
SG, thank you so much for your time. We'll keep engaging with you as the day goes in terms of the proceedings here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's all remain calm and respect our leader finally. Thank you very much.
That was the SWAPO Party Secretary General Sophia Shaningwa telling us about the lives and times of the former founding president, Sam Nujoma. She says they are Tauruses and they have common similarities that they do not waver. And she also encouraged the SWAPO Party to ensure that the party does not die or is not buried with its leader, who has been at the helm of the party for 47 years until his retirement from active politics. We are still here at Tunda, and we shall keep updating you, Namibians, on the latest developments coming from Tunda village here in the Omusati region. It is back to you in studio, colleagues.
Well, as you can see, of course, the procession is, of course, still moving, progressing ahead very, very, very well. And, of course, some of the places that the proceeding has passed by, very, very historical spaces that they have moved around in. Of course, Oshakati, we reflected on a little bit earlier on, has passed that already and is progressing very, very well. We know Kahau, that's the final destination, at Tunda village, the birthplace of Namibia's founding father, Nujoma, settled in the Omusati region. This town holds a special place in our hearts as the place where Nujoma's journey to freedom actually began, with fertile land surrounding this historical space. It is now, of course, a space where there's a lot of agricultural activity that actually takes place, just cementing the legacy and honoring the man who had fought for the country's freedom. We know that he had really, really had a knack for agriculture as well. I just want to quickly take you through the program in terms of what you can expect once the body arrives at Tunda. And I'm still joined, of course, by the colonel, the head of the public relations within the force, that has been taking us through and being with us, explaining, of course, the symbolism and some of the work that the military has been doing. The master of ceremony at the Tunda village, a memorial service, will be Mr. Nilo Tapopi, the former Chief Executive Officer of the city of Windhoek. We'll also have Ms. Cornelia Yambulu, the Mayor of Okahau, that will support as, of course, the host political head in that region. And then we'll have the welcoming remarks from the political head of the region, Honorable Ergina Senjala, the governor of the Omusati region. And that will be followed, of course, by a hymn and a devotion and prayer by Reverend Dr. Chapaka Chakapolo, a retired pastor from Elsen. That will be followed by eulogy read by Honorable Nazangula, the former Prime Minister, former Minister of Education. Of course, he served also as Minister of Labor. If I'm not speaking under correction, it should have been the first Minister of Labor, as well as Minister of Defense as well. That's for under the cabinet of President Nujoma. So very, very experienced senior politician, member of parliament, and former member of cabinet, Nazangula, very, very good friend of the late president. Of course, that will be also delivering the eulogy. Then we'll have a short performance by the Namibia Defence Force military band. As you mentioned a bit earlier on, the band will be present in all the regional memorials to pay respects to their late commander or former commander-in-chief. Quite a number of tributes that we are, of course, also expecting. A message on behalf of former planned combatants by General Officer retired Commissioner Ben Shikovelo Shikongo, the president of the Namibia National Liberation Veterans Association, NLLVA. And then we'll also have a message on behalf of the family by Meme Julia Nujoma. That will be followed very briefly by a message by Tatekulu Johannes Mupia. That's the Omgwanila Kwagonjara, the Oganjera Ngwanila. He's, of course, the chief for those that do not understand who Omgwanila actually is. And then that will be followed by a message by Tatekulu Herman Ndilimani Pumbu, the chief of the Ukwambi Traditional Authority and chairperson of the 8 Northern Traditional Authorities. Of course, they also fall within the constituency there as well. And then after that, a short performance by the Namibia Defence Force military band. Message of SWAPO party by Honorable Sophia Shaningwa, Secretary General. We've heard, of course, some of her sentiments a little bit earlier on, where she was pointing out the discipline by the founding father, and of course still lamenting the support that must continue for the ruling party, which he was, of course, head of for over 47 years. And then a message by His Excellency Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba, former president, the president that followed immediately after the state of the founding father. And then after that, we'll have the message on behalf of the chief mourner by Her Excellency Dr. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa, the Vice President and President-elect of the Republic of Namibia. And then a vote of thanks by Honorable Andreas Shintama, Chairperson of Omusati Regional Council, who's, of course, our host. That will be followed by announcements by the Directors of the Ceremony, and then a benediction by Reverend Dr. Chapaka Chakapolo, a retired pastor from Elsen, followed by the African Union and national anthems. Of course, quite a poignant thing to also highlight, the African Union being sang there as well. President Nujoma was the one of the first 2 countries on the continent to actually promulgate singing the African Union alongside the national anthem at all official functions, really just indicating and highlighting how close Africa was and the ideals around Pan-Africanism and African unity. He was, of course, one of the last, or in fact, the last founding father on the African continent that led a liberation struggle or a country to independence to be laid to rest as well. About 25 kilometers before Okahau, the Tunda, where the remains of the founding president are expected to arrive for the memorial service. There, the body will, of course, lay in state from 6 in the evening until next morning, where there will be a vigil guard taking care of them, of the remains throughout the night. Public, of course, is welcome wherever you might be in the Musati region. Make your way over there and go and pay your respects, of course, to our founding father. You'll get an opportunity to do just that up until early in the morning at 6. So anytime, whether it's 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, you want to go and pay respects, you are welcome to do so. Of course, the remains will be under guard by the Vigil Guard and the Namibia Defense Force as well. And then 6 in the morning, immediately after that, then it will be heading out to the airport, where we're expecting to arrive in Enana at around 10:45 in the morning with a short procession to the stadium. And there will, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, again on Sunday be, not in Sunday actually, but tomorrow be another memorial service starting at 2 in the afternoon there as well. Colonel, if one looks at this and, of course, what has been happening so far, we've heard from the different mourners that will be gathered at the venue itself for the laying in state throughout the evening as well. Just to talk to us a little bit, what sort of honors are we expecting across the night? I know you mentioned the Virgil guards that will be, of course, guarding the body throughout the evening. Just take us through that a little bit.
This evening, the whole area of Etunda, especially the resident will be guarded by the troops. The security forces are there. The surrounding is there to provide that security throughout. So we expect anyone maybe traveling as far as Owongo, and they want to go to Etunda to pay their respect. Maybe they cannot make it now for the memorial service. So members of the public can still do so at their own time. So it's open for the public throughout until tomorrow morning, when the casket is going now to be taken to Enana. So the public, it's more than welcome. Those who can make it to Etunda, even if they are coming from Opuo or Itananga, or they are coming from Makange, or they are coming from Ruakana or Kalongo, they can still make it. So it will be available. There will be people to guide where the direction of where the casket is. Perhaps they will arrive very late in the evening. So it is that opportunity is guaranteed until tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock, when the casket is going to be taken to Enana by road from Etunda. They will drive to Otsandi. From Otsandi, they will drive to Otapi. From Otapi, they will drive to Owongo. From Owongo to Oshikuku. From Oshikuku, they will drive on your way to Oshakati, just few meters before you reach Oshakati. Then to your left, that is now Ongwelume, Oshakati Junction. They will drive to Ongwelume. From Ongwelume to Ongenga. From Ongenga to Onuno. From Onuno to Ondobe. And then finally, from Ondobe to Enana Sports Stadium, where the second memorial service is going to take place in the northern part of the country.
Well, of course, we also know during the time as well, that first stop that is going to be making in Tsandi as well. Tsandi was also once a mission station. Now, of course, a district capital and a center of tradition for the Okwaludi Kingdom. Finnish missionaries arriving there, of course, in the past. And it was the people of Tsandi that really paved the way for progress. And we know that Nujoma often spoke about the importance of the community there as well. So I'm pretty sure the community of Vatandi also are looking forward to having the remains of the founding father that will be passing through there as well. Colonel, we know during this time, of course, during the regional, the memorial services, it will be more for Namibians, of course. The foreign dignitaries are not excluded there, but we know the majority of them will be Namibians. But it will be much different when the memorial takes place at the stadium now next week on the 28th. And probably, of course, a couple of days leading up to that as well. We might see quite a number of international dignitaries visiting, heads of multilateral missions, heads of diplomatic missions, heads of state, current and former heads of states there as well. Just talk to us a little bit around the preparations of the security forces and what is in place for the protection of some of these VIPs and the logistical arrangements around some of the, in fact, only what you can share, as we know that you can't give us all the details from the security perspective.
Well, the capital, it's stable. The political and security situation in the country, it's stable and there's no threat. And even if we expect foreign dignitaries and some head of states to come for the burial of the president, they are more than welcome, and the protection will be always, as usual, be provided to any head of state who visit Namibia on official capacity or private capacity. So there is nothing to fear. So the area where the let's say the Independence Stadium or Parliament Garden it's secured already and it's protected, and it's just like the way we have done it last year, that there was no single incident reported throughout. And this is what we are also expecting to say, that the law and order in this country will be maintained through the period of mourning until we bury our founding president, Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma.
Well, of course, still continuing with this live broadcast from the studio this afternoon. Don't forget to, of course, take a look at our social media platforms as well, where we continue to engage. When we come back after this short visit to the marketplace, I'll just take a look at some of your comments and messages that you've been sending to us throughout this morning. Of course, just views and visuals coming in from about, I think, 15 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken, before Okahau. So let's really take this short visit to the marketplace. When we come back, we'll find out what you were saying on the social media platforms, and then we'll start with the memorial service for this afternoon. Stay with us. Thank you very much. Welcome back. Still continuing with our live broadcast for this afternoon. Don't forget NBC Digital News. Those are the platforms, of course, on our social media where you can stay up to date with what's happening the moment you step away from the screen. Don't forget, of course, our latest arsenal to the NBC digital platforms is TikTok, where you can get some short snippets of the latest in terms of news and happenings here on air. Nonetheless, we're going to be crossing over to Ndapanda Shuya, who's standing by in Nokahau, Tunda, just for a brief update. She's going to be speaking to the political head of the region, Governor Erginus Njala. Ndapanda, it's over to you.
Thousands of people and continue to flock to the Nujoma residence here at Tunda village in the Msati region to pay their tribute to the fallen Namibia's liberation struggle hero and founding father of the nation. I'm now joined by the region's head, that is Governor Erginus Njala, to just take us through today's program. Governor, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon as we await the remains of the founding president. Tell us, as you woke up, you're part of the group that went to receive the remains of the late former president at the Ondangwa airport. Tell us about that. How was the crowds there, and what was the mood like?
No, thank you very much. This morning, as it was announced that the remains of our founding president will land at Ondangwa airport, we woke up in the morning and with other monarchs to go and receive the body of our founding president. And when we were traveling now to the airport, we could see a number of people that are patiently waiting for the body to arrive. And it was really a very emotional moment, where we're starting now recollecting the memories of how we used to receive him when he was alive, and now seeing that we receive him while he's lying. It was really a very emotional. But we, in the same time, also we appreciate that he was blessed with 95 years of age, and he have done a lot for us. It's now just a time for him to release him to go and rest a bit, and we will carry on where he left.
Tell us, for the past few days, the region was busy preparing for this very day. It is the first regional memorial service in the region, as part of the government's decision to allow the founding president's remains to visit about 7 regions so that people can pay tribute, especially those that will not make time to visit the Heroes Acre or Windhoek, where the last memorial service will be held. How has the planning been, and culminating to today's event? Are you happy with what you are seeing on the ground?
Yes, of course. Actually, the preparation, we were really very stressed in terms of time, because literally we have only 2 days to prepare. But with vigor and determination and with a good teamwork, we have really managed. We were preparing at least to receive plus minus 60,000. And that is the capacity that currently we have prepared. But if you exceed, then it's beyond our capacity. But I think I'm quite happy to see that the people came out in thousands to come and mourn and then pay their last respect to our liberators. And that is, I think, is very encouraging. And I could see people of different age, the young people, the elderlies, the former planned combatants, and everybody, traditional authorities. It's just quite a very good, let's say, a very impressive type of gathering.
What has word on the street been in terms of how the people in your region received the news that the government has decided that the late founding president's remains will be in the region as well as in other regions? How has it been, especially for the elderly and the ex-planned combatants?
You know, when the message was delivered to the public, I think majority of us, we paused a bit. Not probably we are shocked because of the death, but everybody question is, from here where to and how? I think that is the question, because that is a person that we knew, and everybody always listen. When he says something, we always listen. Now, those good advices, where probably will you get them? But then, as now we were told that we are going to have the regional memorial services, and as a tradition, he have to come and pass home. I think the public, they were now at ease, and they felt like, yes, we have now to have an opportunity also to pay our last respect. There are some elderly people, as old as they are, probably they could be, they're already here because they could not contain it. They want to see, to witness that, yes, Nujoma is gone. Some of them, they still feel like it's a joke. But I think from today on, everybody will now accept and say, yes, Nujoma is no more. But in the same time, also you start understanding now how he was loved by the people. Young, older, middle-aged, and everybody. And you could, wherever you pass, when we were in the street, we could see people, some of them they are singing, some of them they are crying. It means it's emotional. It's touching a little bit, but one has also to understand that today we are not only mourning, but we are also celebrating a life well lived. Because 95 of age, it's not all of us who will have privilege to live up to that time. Only those who are blessed and selected ones. Therefore, we just say, go well, Tatekuru, and go and rest. We are going to carry on where you left.
You did also, throughout the proceedings here at the homestead, I was part of the memorial service that you also took to the podium just to reminisce on the day that you met with him. Can you please, in short, just reflect again with the viewers at home, how was that meeting, and what will you learn from him going forward without the founding president?
You know, young as we were, when we joined the liberation struggle, we were inspired by a person, by a man that we never saw in our life. And when the opportunity was presented itself, it was now on the awarding of learners that they performed very well. And I was part of them. I remember it's where I get my first Casio watch, and then a Casio calculator, and then other items. Really, I felt like I was honored. It's like I have saw Jesus. Because a man that we used to see as the propaganda of the enemies, with tails, with he looks like an animal and all that thing. Now to see him in person, it was just inspiring. And in fact, from that time, we were really determined to say, yes, people were just telling us lie. This is our God, this is our person, therefore we believed on him. And I think that is what inspires us now to really think that whatever cost us, Namibia must get independent. And I think that was an inspiration to meet with him.
Definitely. What are some of the take-home messages that he had given you, that he had addressed, maybe at gatherings that you were also part of, that you are going to take into the future?
Yeah, we have, I think that the Guru Nujoma have left us with a legacy of unity, charisma, I think, and he has been a very good advisor. And whoever he engaged, it doesn't matter your age, you will enter into conversation. And mostly he used to tell us to say, Namibia to be prosper, unless all of us we push in one direction, and the unity must be the center corner of everything that we are doing. And therefore, I think as a member of the ruling party, as a governor of the region, I will then encourage to say that Tatekuru Nujoma's advice must serve us as a compass for future, or let me say, to go forward. Yes.
Can you just summarize today's events as well as to just call on to the residents of the Umsati region to line the streets, as well as to just make sure that they are part of those that are paying tribute to the founding president, considering the fact that this is his home region as well as his home ground here at Etunda. Perhaps what is your message to Namibians, those that are watching at home or those that are listening to radio, to just come and pay their respects as we await the arrival of his remains here at his parents' homestead?
Yes, those who are not able probably to come these memorial services, I think tomorrow procession from 6 o'clock we are going to leave from Etunda through via Okahao, Sandi, Outapi, Ogongo, Oshikuku, then up to Oshakati. Those who did not get time probably now to come and attend here, they could wave that they could confirm when it's going to proceed to Ohangwena through the road from home to Okahao, Sandi, Outapi, and up to Oshakati. I'm just encouraging our young people, at least now this time around, to start making some research to understand the significant role that these men have played to the independence of Namibia and also to the development of Namibia too, so that at least it will then enlighten us what we expect in the future, and it must also serve as a guide and then inspiration to say, if he's able to make it, why not us? I think it's an opportunity now for us to reflect the role that we have to play in the independent Namibia.
Governor, thank you so much for joining us on this platform to just give us a brief information on what is transpiring and what will be transpiring tomorrow here in your region. We will engage with you as time goes and just keep the public up to date with the latest news from here.
No, thank you very much, Napanda, for having me. Thank you.
That was the Umsati Regional Governor, Ergeno Senjala, talking to us about the importance of honoring the legacy of the founding president, Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma. It is a mixture of emotions here in Etunda village, where some are mourning while some are celebrating simultaneously in celebration and remembrance of Namibia's fallen giant. Now the street procession continues to make its way towards Etunda. I think by now it should be about 20-something kilometers before we receive it here in Etunda village, where the founding father grew up before going into exile. I'm now joined by the police Inspector General Joseph Shikongo to just brief us about the proceedings and what is expected, what is allowed in terms of paying this son of the soil tributes and a farewell here. IG, thank you so much for joining us. A very busy day for you and your men and women in uniform. Can you just take us through what transpired throughout the day?
Yeah, thank you, Ndapanda. Thank you, NBC. Thank you, viewers. Yes, we are now at Etunda, and I will talk about the arrangement with regard to the security. We have already agreed at a political committee in Windhoek that this ceremony of the memorial service and the funeral arrangement, obviously the Namibian Defence Force is taking the lead in all the programs. But when it comes to the mandate of the police, is to ensure the public safety and the public security, including the protection of the VIP. So the program has started very well. This morning, started from the Namibian Police Forensic in Windhoek to State House, and then in State House they passed through the residence of the late Dr. Nujoma, the founding father of our nation, and then proceeded to the airport. Yes, the body arrived in the Tondangwa this morning, of course met by Her Excellency Dr. Netumonandi, the Vice President of the Republic, and the President-elect, together accompanied by the former President, Dr. Fikapinye Pohamba, and Dr. Sarah Kuongelwa, the family of the late Dr. Nujoma, and of course there are a lot of mourners, leaders from various walks of life, religious leaders, political leaders, and traditional leaders, and of course the general public. So far, I would like to express my gratitude as responsible for internal security for the manner in which our people have behaved, starting from the first day of passing away of the founding president, and the memorial service that have been held in Windhoek to date. So far, the nation where we drove through from Onangwa, via Shakati, and up to where we are now. I can tell you, Panda, it's so amazing to see people coming in a big number and also behaving. We drove, but we don't even encounter anything on the road. When the public see the motorcade, so they move out. And as I cautioned even in the morning program, that when you see a motorcade coming, please don't push your car into a pavement or to go and hit yourself in a tree. Just stand where we are. These officers that are leading the convoy, they are well trained. They know what to do. So I'm just asking that please let the nation continue. The program is about to start now. And then you can see the police officers here and the other law enforcement officers around. The safety and security is guaranteed. So we hope this program will conclude safely, and then we will continue from here. Perhaps I will also say something later as to where the body will be moving from here.
Definitely, IG. I will not tell you where I heard it from, but I understand that you are also in Onyango, there in Angola. Tell me about your first meeting with the late president, and how was that meeting for you as a young boy then?
Yes, you know, I joined the liberation struggle at a tender age of about 14, 15 there. And I think the very first year that I met him, I met the late founding president in 1979 as a younger boy in Kwanza Soul. And obviously, I did not have that privilege to meet him one-on-one. As a child, like other child of the time, of course, we were there greeting him. And I remember the first time that I greeted him, I think it took me about 2-3 days without washing my hand, because it was a great honor. And they continue under his leadership until I joined the liberation movement, the People's Liberation Army of Namibia, and he had been our commander-in-chief throughout the struggle. When we came back, I was also privileged to work in the Namibian Defense Force, of which is the commander-in-chief. And later, I was transferred from the Minister of Affairs at the time to the Minister of Defense in 2000. And then immediately, I joined the VIP division. At some point, I even served under him directly as a deputy commanding officer of VIP. So that is the relationship we had here at Tunda, where we are today. If we go in the house, I will even tell you where we used to sit with him, where we used to walk around the village in the morning around 4-5 o'clock, waking up and then walk around the village. So we are at the home where really our founding father, the late founding father, taught us so many things. The behavior, how to be a good leader. I think for us to be what we are today is because of him. So that's a great journey that we traveled with Atekulu. And this time around as the people mourning. I think this is more than a mourning, but this is more celebration of a life of a legend, a life well lived.
IG, definitely we are waiting the remains here at the homestead of his parents. Most of the programs have already been set in motion for today. Now, talk to us about especially the body laying in state, just to remind the viewers the do's and don'ts when it comes to the time that they are able to view the remains and pay their respects to the fallen hero.
Yes, in actual fact, what I try to do, I believe that people, all the mourners that are coming to celebrate the life of this legend, I'm sure that they are coming with good hearts to pay respect and also to pay homage to the late founding president. And I think we need to continue as we started. We need to continue paying respect so that we have a dignity send-off of the late founding president. So the bodies will lay in a state. Obviously, I know our people, they would not want to go and sleep maybe there. After the official program, I'm sure that people who want to stay over, of course with the guidance of the protocol and security, they might continue singing. Just to make sure that we keep the body state live until the body is moved, of which they will be moved from here to the road from here. I believe that is through Chandi, then Shakati, then from Shakati we'll be driving through Mungume, and then Ongenga, Ngela, then Omafo Nuno, and then from there we'll end up in Enana. Of course, the body will also be will also be hosted tomorrow. And then I think after that the body also lay in state, and then we'll be moving via Oshango until Bege to Andibatoivo International Airport in Ondangwa. And I think that's what this is the process that we wanted to observe. So then the message that I'm sending here in Okao today is actually the same message that I'm sending it to all the regions that are identified to host such memorial service, to ensure that our people should really behave in a manner that they have started. So that at the end of, we are actually celebrating the life of a legend and the life of a man who was disciplined. And therefore we need also to show discipline in all aspects. As Namibians in our different, we have our differences, be it religious difference, be it political differences. But I think at this point in time, that's where we need to be united than ever before, because we lost a statesman, we lost a man who founded the presidency of the Republic of Namibia. So all of us, we have got reason to respect, whether we don't agree with him politically or religiously. I think it is a time that we need now to make sure that all of us, we are united.
With the remains just almost here at Etunda, what is your message to people? Are they allowed to take pictures of the late in the casket, or are they allowed to take videos of him?
I'm sure that there is no restriction in terms of taking video, because this is a leader, this is a people's leader. And I don't think we have restriction when it comes to pictures or videos, because it has happened already. When we were moving just from the plane until where we are today, even when I was driving, I could see people with their mobile taking videos, and I don't see the reason why should we come and have a restriction of people to taking pictures here or video, as long as people they are not breaking the protocol to do it at inappropriate time. Because but when the time is open for them to come and check, I believe that will be allowed. I'm not too sure humanly whether people will come and take a picture while they are there. I think that one to take the video while you are seeing the face, I think that will not, because they will end up in Facebook. I think that will. But if you are taking the picture of a casket, I believe that we have no restriction in that. So people are welcome.
IG, thank you so much for your time. We'll be talking to you again as the day goes, as well as tomorrow as we meet in Enana in the Angone region for the second regional memorial service.
No, it is my pleasure. Thank you very much. And I wish all Namibian this day to be really a joyous day. Let us not make it a solo day, but let Nujoma lived a legacy, lived a life of 95 years of age. What a honor of a statesman. So let's continue celebrating the life of this statesman of our republic. So thank you very much. It is my pleasure.
That was the Inspector General of the Namibian Police just telling us about today's proceedings. He says he's so far happy with the way the public is behaving in an orderly manner as they pay tribute to their fallen hero. That is both here at Etunda as well as on the road where the procession is currently taking place. He says we need to give a dignified send-off to Namibia's Umkokoli president, the late founding president Sam Nujoma, and just celebrate his legacy while we are mourning. There is no more here with us, but his legacy continues to live on for next generations. It is back to you in studio, and we will keep updating you as soon as the body of the late founding president arrives at the homestead of his late parents.
Well, of the Panda Shuya, they're coming to us from Matunda. The procession is more or less about 8 to 10 minutes out. The last update we received was it was around 10 kilometers before the homestead. And of course, what we expect is in the first for them to stop by the house itself before heading into the location where all the artifacts have been set up for the memorial service to take place. And this is, of course, a procession literally around 6 to 7 kilometers before Etunda village as well. Just a reminder, once again, you can go ahead and engage us on the social media platforms. As mentioned before, NBC Digital News, that's where we are carrying it if you're moving away from your television screen as well. Going to be a very, very short program that will take place once the memorial service starts. It will be led by Anilo Tapopi, former Chief Executive Officer of the city of Windhoek, as well as the Mayor of Okahau. They will be the ones to lead, of course, the memorial service for this evening. Expecting that to run for about 2.5 hours. A number of tributes that will come in where the message, the keynote message being delivered by the representative of the chief mourner, the President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Nangolo Mbumba, who will be represented by the President-elect and the Vice President of the country, Dr. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa, with the keynote message for the evening. Of course, we're also expecting tributes to come in, representation from the family members, former members or fighters in the plan, the NLLV, of course, represented there as well. They'll also share their message amongst others that will be paying tribute to the late president this evening at the memorial service. The public, of course, urged to go ahead and attend that as well. The body will be laying in state immediately after the memorial service is done, and you're welcome to stay out throughout the night or, of course, come at any time up until 6 o'clock in the morning.
You are correct. Maybe the other information that we can share with the public is the route from Enana to Andiba Toivo Airport on Saturday morning. From Enana, we expect that the casket will leave Enana at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then it will pass through Oshango, and then from Oshango to Oshigambo, from Oshigambo to Oshigambo Junction to Onipa, and then from Onipa to Onethindi, Onethindi to Oluno, and then Oluno to the final destination, which is in this case now Andiba Toivo Airport, before it can take off to Kavango East, Rundu. That is on Saturday morning.
That's on Saturday morning. So, of course, quite a loaded program that we're expecting over the next couple of days. We're starting off in Enana tomorrow. That will be followed by Kavango East and, West. Of course, Zambezi regions as well. The South will also be visited. We know that they will also stop by in Walfish Bay and Grootfontein also before that as well. We were chatting a little bit earlier, during the interview around some of the different practices that we have when we are showing our last respects. And you were mentioning, Colonel, that you expect members of the public, of course, in the north to just go and view and then head back home throughout the rest of the night. But whereas I know, of course, with the Nama and Damara culture, it will be a completely different affair when it takes place in Kitmans. We would be expecting, of course, members of the public to actually spend the evening overnight there at the venue, singing and, giving remembrance and celebrating his life throughout the night until the next morning.
Yes, cultures are different, but don't be surprised that most of these veterans of the National Liberation Struggle might overnight singing their liberation songs at Etunda. So that possibility it's there. So we might have people, especially those plane fighters, former plane fighters, they might sleep there singing the whole night until tomorrow morning. So that could be something that we might expect. So, but there will be those ones who will be coming, attend the memorial service, and maybe return back home. And there will be those ones who will overnight there. So anything is possible. And I'm getting an alert that the casket is about to arrive at Tunda, or it has already arrived, because I just got a message that a signal saying that it seems they are about to arrive there, or they've arrived.
Oh, they've arrived there as well. But in the event that there will be, members of the public will spend the evening there, or like you said, the liberation struggle heroes might also spend the evening there as well. Is there adequate support from a logistics and security perspective prepared by the Defence Force?
On the part of the security is provided at any region where the memorial service is going to take place, including now whether the members of the public have made own accommodation arrangements, because Tunda is very close to Okahao, which is just 2 minutes drive. So some people might have already made arrangement and booked themselves to spend the night at Okahao, and then again early morning they might come back, because it is not everybody who believes that our founding father is normal, as it was said even by the governor of Umsati region. So some people want again to reconfirm really that it's true that our founding father is normal and is in the casket, he's gone. So they will want to come back in the morning. So anything, it's possible that few people might want to overnight at Tunda.
A few people definitely might want to overnight there as well. And like you said, all provisions have been made to make sure that everybody's safe that will be coming out there and presenting. Well, we know we've got some messages on our social media platforms. Like we said, we've been following it around. We will give you a moment just now so that we can just really cross over, take in the visuals there, take in the sound and the surroundings at Tunda village. But we'll do that in the next few seconds for you as well. Some of the messages here from John Shikongo saying here that rest in peace to the founding father. Really thank the government for being able to bring us the procession as well as the funeral as it happens. We will attend the memorial service in Grootfontein. That one message coming in here. This one from Maria Kengos. Maria Kengos saying here, congratulations to the Namibian nation. We know that we are going to behave ourselves over the next 2 weeks. The morning has been going great so far. Whenever I hear an interview or a story, I can't believe that these people have done all of this for our country. We, the Namibian youth, are grateful. This one coming from Monica Kengos there as well. Kuridas, not Kengos, rather. And then we have here John Shakonyungwa is saying here, well done to the liberation struggle heroes. We thank all of you for what you have provided for us. It is now up to us to make sure that we preserve what has been brought to our country. And then, so quite a number of condolence messages also coming in there as well on the social media platforms. So please do make sure to go in there and comment, and we will share some of those comments as they happen. But for now, let's just cross over and just take in what's happening on the ground there in Tunda with some of those visuals, and of course bring some sound to you as well as we continue with the coverage of the procession, and of course leading into the first memorial service of the regional services scheduled to celebrate and commemorate the life of the founding father. Stay with us.